Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what it is, you know where we're going. To the mountain by the side. To my second home, the mistress. The mistress, the doctor. To the mountain, wearing the second time I'm wearing this shirt. I'm trying to figure out what's written on it. And of course, we're gonna go by extra zone like a snake. And of course, we're gonna go to see who made it to the public gym, who made it to the public gymnasium, and who made it, of course, to the public gymnasium, who made it in this heat wave. We gotta get going for that heat wave. Special on that heat wave. On the go, in the sun. As we go rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, the butchers, the electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's how we gotta get going with that. And so we gotta get doing, man, for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, for the setting up of the binational Salvation Front. This Canadian, Quebecer Canadian who was born in the USA. 3 times, post 76. Once as a woman, twice as a man, served in the United States Army twice. Post 76, you heard that correct. Androgynous, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, and mystic. Grateful, thankful, I got that backpack full. Once we reach the mountain, we're gonna check it out. And we're gonna check what we got. We got some tomatoes, we got some food, we got some bananas, we got some of that good. It was just donated. You know that fridge where I go in the community when I film sometimes is the community fridge right there in my neighborhood. Well, I'm still in my neighborhood, but look at a beautiful yellow car. So I'm still in my neighborhood, but of course I got the donation. And of course the donation that I got, of course, was some of those tomatoes, and a lot of tomatoes with that, and some bananas and what have you. And that's what we got. 3.5 bananas, gonna give 2 to my anonymous friend. Well, 1.5, we're gonna split some. 3/4, I guess. 1 banana and 3/4, that's double, that is 3.5. So I stacked it in my backpack, so it's got more than 44 for sure now. And I got a little bit of 3 drinks, and I helped the person making the donation. Thank you for helping in food security. And somebody, of course, some of the goods were not that fresh except for the tomatoes, but there were some other. I put some 3 boxes in there, and for the fridge when I get back, I think it's gonna be all gone. So I took there were 4 cantaloupes. I took a cantaloupe, and I have to put it in, and we're gonna have to get it on the go. So that is sometimes also which we gotta meditate upon, you know. We gotta do the recycling, and super important to get that recycling done, right? Always grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got that coffee, got that food, you know. That's how I rock and roll, with that gratitude. 24/7 for the farmers, firefighters, the butchers, the electricians, the plumbers, the bakers, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. You know, gotta be that gratitude. Super important. Put it on grateful. And although financially stressed myself, really financially stressed, but grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. And the unfortunate thing about my community, the Asperger's community, not the LGBTQ community, I'm part of both, double trouble, androgynous, pansexual, aspie, of course, is that there's a super high unemployment rate for my fellow aspie communities. And as this day began yesterday, the new 40-day Rite, 40-day Rite, you know, for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, of which I'm laying the foundations with 718 trillions of kisses. Gotta salute the truckers on the road, delivering those tomatoes, that bacon, that bread, that cheese, and all the other goods, of course, across the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, on that labor in the sun. And that's why we gotta be meditating, as I'm a philosopher, an independent geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist who's paid rent, paid the electricity bill, and of course got food and coffee. And that's what we got doing today, you know. Gotta get it on the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things here as we go all the way to the mountain. We gotta get it on the side, and that's how we gotta get it loving, man, you know. Gotta get it on love inside of things, and gotta get it on the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, the truckers, the bakers, you know. Just saw my boys and girls in blue, brothers and sisters wearing the uniform. We gotta get that new 911 protocols for total security, total service, total defense based on my new 911 drag initiative, which of course the philosophy of the initiative was started to write about after 2017. I gotta salute those putting on the uniform, as I've been calling an NWO, for the creation of the Dragon Army, aka the North American Imperial SSD Legion. This new legion to be a mobilization of 1% and integrated, we're all existing. Brothers and sisters in uniform, whether the armed forces, the Canadian armed forces, the police and the firefighters, and to be only for SSD. As you know, I have predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, I have predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, I predicted that there's going to be an international conflagration, because that's what I do on the daily basis, geopolitics, because Aspies, you know, people who are neurodivergent like myself, we have special interests. And Asperger's, again, is not a mental illness, but we have these special interests, obsessive interests, and these special interests preoccupy all our daily habits and routines with a super intensity, super focused, super concentrated. When you see my marches, it's working out, training and marching, and fitness is part of my obsession, because I work out now. This is my workout, as I do these meditation vlogs, and some of them are hour longs. It's not my rock and roll, because that's my other special interest. And I gotta rock and roll for my brothers and sisters, boys and girls in blue. No perfect people got institution, but parallel, I also rock and roll for my brothers and sisters who do their criminal rehabilitation, who take their second chances, you know, and turn their life around. I gotta salute that, because I almost died of COVID more than 5 years ago, celebrating that victory. I almost died when I was surprise attacked a few years ago and hit my head on the concrete, had a dislocated right arm, and I was bloodied up. I was put on some meds, and I was like kind of in a coma, you know, and I lived in a very moldy underground, small type of prison cell with lots of mold. And I just remember moving from there, you know. Well, I think this July 1st is either going to be 9 years or 10 years. Before I drink, I recommend about 10 to 20 seconds to clear the pipe. So I'm just going to speak a bit before I hydrate a little bit. So I moved from that place, which is a moldy underground basement, and I moved from there. And of course, I have that retrograde amnesia, memory loss. Sometimes it's caused by trauma, and I don't know if I used to do drugs or sometimes alcoholism, drink a lot of alcohol. Alcoholism induces memory loss, but sometimes it comes back with time, or hypnosis, or there's no really medication for Asperger's nor for memory loss. It's just sometimes you lose it by a trauma and you gain it by a trauma. So let's hydrate, and we go to see the gym to see who's at the gymnasium on this heat wave. I'm curious who's gonna hit that public gym, which is open to all and no cost, because got that backpack and rock and roll. Yeah, be careful crossing the street here. Better we go by the side there. We're gonna wait. You see here, we gotta cross the street safely and prudently. The best thing to do, cross the street, is to wait patiently and then go on the side and just be careful, you know, because it's kind of an awkward corner here, you know, so it's best if we go by the side here. So grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and I guess you've seen enough of my face, eh? So always gotta be that gratitude, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid and electricity bill's paid, got that food, got that coffee, and gotta get it for that rock and roll here. And got some cranes fetish, you know. I love cranes. And I gotta salute the construction workers, you know. Construction workers, butchers, bakers, and so you got some flowers here. You got flowers all lined up, and you got some butterflies, you know. So It's a hot day, it feels like summer, but I don't mind the heat. And this, I gotta say, it's really well done. Look at that, that's art. Isn't that beautiful? I just love. So see people who are talented like this, yeah, we should mass finance across the North American Collective, across the 10 provinces, 50 states and 3 territories, all of these beautiful, beautiful graffiti. I gotta give some salutation and to the bus drivers, saluting the bus drivers across the 63. The North American Union is today this new first day of the 40-day new Rite journey of the new 40-day, marching to the mountains, calling all leaders of the North American Collective from the left, from the right, from the center, the public-private partnership. Support my dream. My dream, the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American Collective in order to, of course, implement my Trinity of theories, the DRT, Death Row Fusion Theory, the DFT, Democratic Fusion Theory, and the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, and of course to mass create the 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka North American Imperial SSD, Legion, Coast to Coast, Ocean to Ocean, to serve only and strictly for SSD. To only serve for SSD, to only serve for SSD. I gotta hurry up. Gotta hurry up on the side. Sometimes you just gotta hurry up. I got 1 second, I made it just in time, you know. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. You gotta hurry up, speed it up. Not here, I got plenty of seconds, 10 seconds, and I got 7 seconds. I'm just gonna be mindful that my fellow citizens walking a bit more slow. So as I'm gonna get it on the side and we're gonna go dribble it. I just gotta make sure that due to the wind I don't lose my hat, you know. If I lose my hat, I got it second hand, $3, and I'm auctioning everything that I'm wearing for $1 million because I'm trying to raise some funds to give half, 50% to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, you know, and wasn't my friend because of the money. And that's how we got, as we go to the mountain. And see here, this is kind of scribbling, you know, this is kind of scribbling here. It's not that nice, you know. And see, like this, I don't know what this is. I forgot to Google it last time I saw it. It says no Khazarian Mafia with a question mark. No Khazarian Mafia, no Khazarian Mafia. The only thing I can think about was that Khazarian Mafia. And what I know is, because Khazarian is the etymological name referring to the Khazars, who of course were part of or an empire between 600, the common era between the 600 and 1100, the Khazars, the Khazarian Empire, with Bulan as King Bulan, who, I guess historically from what we know, they converted to Judaism. They converted to Judaism around the 9th century the Common Era, so about 1,000 years ago. From what we know, of course. I'm gonna wait here because I traverse, and we're gonna go by the hospital like that. I'm gonna show you where I got 3 vaccines, because now there's a little bit of that COVID back, and of course COVID is back. COVID is back, and basically COVID is back with that, and we got that COVID, and in China and India maybe a new mutation. And I strongly urge people, of course, to please keep the protocols of hygiene, public protocols of hygiene, keep them in, and that's all we got. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, man. You know, something which we got, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. That's how we got, you know. That's how we got to that, you know. So something which we're gonna get doing with that, and we're gonna get it on the left and the right. And here we got for the construction workers, you know. Construction workers. See? Construction workers, butchers, bakers, and nurses, doctors, and firefighters, and all those electricians, the plumbers, and that's all we got, you know. Something which we gotta get doing with that, you know. Something which we gotta get on that go, man, you know. So something which we have to be knowing, you know. Something which we have to be grateful about today, you know. Carpe diem it every day, you know. As I get on that COVID, you know, carpe diem it every day. And here to the hospital workers, the nurses across North America, you know, the nurses across North America. I'm gonna go get a little bit of those XYZ flowers there. Yes, red, my favorite color. Get that double joy. And look at that beautiful sky. Sometimes you just gotta look at the sky a little bit to realize that it's right here, well, for me, on this island, baptized, rebaptized, reconsecrated as HAWK, 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 The island of the Hawk, surrounded by the river of the Snake. The island of the Hawk, surrounded by the river of the Snake or Snake River, North American Nile, and oh my goodness, you gotta have to smell. Red, my favorite color, oh, the best I ever smelled. And I guess I'm biased because this red is my favorite color, but got a triple smell that 11 times. Oh yes, I gotta come do a little bit of just priestess of the goddess, because you know dragon got a woman in them. Priestess from ancient Egypt to ancient Rome, priestess of the GODDSS, will to build the forgotten goddess temple, and we should have roses like this, red and green, and red and green. The color of the dragon army is red, 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 like my shorts, my favorite color. Keep auctioning the shorts, and it's beautiful, just red, full of red here. It's so nice, you know. We got a little bit of that art here if you want to check it, and that's how we got a little bit of that beautiful, 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 all red. Wow, good job, my favorite color. The best little garden here is so nice, and that's what we got. I gotta get a garden full of flowers, and yeah, garden full of flowers, man. I guess they're a little bit on the way out by next week, by next week, but I go on the ground and gotta let the gotta get out of the way of the youth. But and the yellow also, see, yellow flowers here. So I love yellow flowers, and red is my favorite color. So I'm gonna show you, of course, where is my favorite, where I got vaccinated, and of course priestess of the goddess. Gotta do a little priestess there, because yeah, I'm a woman in a man's body. I'm 50-50 androgynous. I'm a woman in a man's body. I'm a woman in a man's body. 50-50 priestess, not a hoe. For the binational, setting up the binational, the binational Salvation Front, Canada, United States, for the 63. Binational, for the binational Salvation Front. Gotta set it up, you know, the binational Salvation Front. And this is a new building here, relatively new, from a few years ago. I don't know exactly when they finished the construction, but it's relatively new, and it's kind of colorful. And here we got, you know, that's where we are sometimes, over there atop the mountain. See, that's Westmount, one of the 3 peaks of the mountain, Westmount. And we're gonna go on Mount Royal. That's Westmount, and the other one's Mount Royal. So you got the 3 peak mountain, of which you can see those houses there. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. That's part of it. You see how it starts going up, and the mountain can be seen afar off. So you can see the mountain afar off. You can see the mountain afar off on the island. Or the hawk, H-A-W-K, like my totem bird, the bird, hawk. Surrounded by a big river, the Snake River. And you watch, we saw yesterday's video where we went by the river. Sometimes we go by the river, sometimes by the mountain, and sometimes we 50-50 it, you know. One day there, the other day there. And my fellow citizen is encouraged to work out, train, exercise, and we gotta work out, train, exercise. I love seeing people fitness, and I have been and will continue to call for the mass financing of fitness across the North American Collective, mass financing fitness. And I started my fitness journey in 2017. Prior to that, I gotta check, because I might have moved in 2016 or even 2015 where I live now, and my memory kind of goes on the blackout when I go back more than like 2014, you know, and just I have trouble accessing memories from prior to my life, prior to moving from that moldy place. But I'm happy, joyous, just financially stressed. But the problem is, in the Aspie communities, being that I have Asperger's, is this neurological mental divergent condition, not NOT, is not a mental illness, you know. It's just, we see the world differently. We have these mutations at the micro level. Sometimes they're not even visible, you know. They're so tiny, small fractional at the small micro level mutations that they're not that visible. But Aspie brains have these mutations, and these mutations make us more awkward, weird, and strange in certain things of the society, you know, how we society to relate, you know. how we society relate to other people, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things. That's how we gotta get doing on the love, and you gotta get there. I got vaccinated there, triple vax there to get on the love side of things, and we gotta get on the love, you know. So something which we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing for the beautiful day here, which we are, and that's how we got us loving, you know, to love the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get it on the lovely side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know, to get it on the love, and that's how we gotta get doing for that. Here for the nurses, the doctors, and those who get doing on the left, right, there, we gotta get doing some now for the love, and for the bakers, the butchers, the doctors, the firefighters, and the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food. You know, we gotta get doing on that. We gotta get doing on that. We gotta get doing on that. Here we go. I hope I didn't, because they were putting some music and I don't want my video, you know, because to be blocked. I'm financially struggling, so I don't want my video to be blocked unless it goes viral, you know, after more than 7 years. So just gonna finalize on that. So that's where I got vaccinated, right there. 3 vaccines, triple vax, 3 vaccines. I almost died of COVID. I gotta celebrate that, you know. I almost died of COVID back in February. Between February and March 2020. It was like death, pestilence, and disease, you know. I thought I was gonna die, you know. Thought I was gonna die. And that's what it is, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, you know. So I almost died of COVID. Almost died of COVID, you know. Almost died of COVID. Almost. See those beautiful flowers here? We're gonna switch the side and look at those beautiful flowers here, you know. Beautiful flowers, you know. Beautiful flowers here. Beautiful flowers. We gotta get going with those beautiful flowers, and see that they're protruding, and that's how we got, you know. Oh yeah, these. Look at these. Oh, there's a snail. Look at that. So Mother Nature, the forgotten goddess, the temple that I will to build, the forgotten goddess temple, and that's what I will to build, and that's how we gotta get doing with that building, you know, parallel to the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. But look, I'm gonna have to smell. Not that smelly. Doesn't smell that good, but you can see that Mother Nature is the goddess, forgotten goddess, the greatest artist and greatest scientist also. There's some science in nature. Look at these. So I survived COVID, and surviving COVID, you know, made me appreciate every day. Got carpe diem every day. I thought I was gonna die. It was like, look at that beautiful butterfly right there. Thought I was gonna die. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease, you know. And I survived COVID, and here I am admiring a little bit of Mother Nature, making me some smile with some joyous, beautiful yellow flowers, you know. And Mother Nature sometimes, you know, the goddess, forgotten goddess, and that's something that I will to build. Also, I will to build with the 4, you know, 444. One of them is the forgotten goddess temple, GODDSS. I'm crediting for trillions of kisses. I got 718 trillions. That's a lot of zero. Credited from the forgotten goddess to build the forgotten goddess temple and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, you know. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum, you know. Imperial People's Coliseum, Imperial People's Coliseum, you know, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, you know, to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. Caesar Superdome used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz Dome, and now it's known the Mercedes-Benz, and before that was the Louisiana Superdome. It changed names several times, just like I changed my new name now, as I died during COVID, and Adrian Hana Dragon, and I changed that A in the Adrian with an E for being a Quebecois, and this living a parallel life, a North American Dragon, that A into a no, Dragon, and Honey Hana, HNNH on that priestess from ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, reincarnated today, June 17, 2025, and let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Let's build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum to be the biggest built ever sports coliseum in the history of the world. A public-private partnership where we're gonna have sportists in perpetuities. We're gonna have sportists in perpetuities. We have to have sportists in perpetuities, you know. Sportists in perpetuities, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing with the go. That's how we're gonna get doing on the go, you know. Here we gotta get that on rock and roll, and so we're gonna get doing on the love side of things, man, you know. Sometimes we just gotta do that, you know, and sometimes we just gotta be on the transmission and get some loving and get it on some loving side of things, and gotta get it for the love, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers, firefighters, plumbers, and electricians, you know, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. You know, we gotta rock and roll with them and build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the, so you can start seeing downtown Montreal, Hawk Island, HAWK, to be 11 times bigger than the sports complex arena where the Super Bowl, known as the Harbor Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, the Harbor Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, also known as the Bro Bowl, has several nicknames. My 49ers lost to the Ravens by only by 3 points. Only by 3 points, but still a loss. You can lose by 1 point in any given Sunday Super Bowl. And you know, dancing is my favorite sport, but I also love gridiron North American football, other sports as well, but of course dancing is my favorite sport. And also I love that gridiron, the North American football, and gotta salute, I think that's a local beer, Tremblay, Brassards, Quebec, let's go, build that North American Unite, and we gotta fuse together, you know, the North American Collective. We gotta fuse it up, and we gotta fuse it in my way, because we're in a tough geopolitical place, and I predicted what's happening now, and let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and the inauguration event is gonna be me fighting Donald Trump. Dragon versus Trump since 2018. The first time when I challenged Donald Trump to a boxing match was in 2018. When Donald Trump first made the mistake, Granddaddy Trump, to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, that was a mistake, because I am an independent geopolitical theoretical honest and truth, and the following statement which I'm about to make is a constant, is always yes, and true. Always yes, and true, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is for the rock and roll, and it's always yes, and it's always a constant thing, and that's always something which I gotta be doing, you know, to stretch a little bit, and gotta stretch a little bit of that muscles, and that's what it is, man, and that's how I gotta rock and roll, and so I gotta get doing now, you know. My cousin's working out, training on the bike a little bit, and that's how I gotta get doing to get going with that, and so I gotta get on the salutations, you know, to get it on the go. So we gotta get it on the go now here in Quebec, you know. La Belle Province, we gotta rock and rolling, and we gotta rock and rolling on the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get rock and rolling, man, and we gotta get it for the 63, you know, for the 63, for the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. And I gotta give a shout out to the public workers, to the public workers with that, and the public workers are always doing a little bit of good public work, and I gotta sing some rock and roll for them, because for the workers of the past, of course, and present, and for the future, you know, building those aqueducts. The aqueducts. Civilization really is a privilege. Just meditate on this event. You know, I'm passing by public workers, and they have point events, and they're gonna do some loving after they get back from work. You know, beautiful flowers on the other side, and You got public workers, some beautiful public works, some beautiful flowers, some loving for the flowers, some loving for the public workers. You know, you got several types of loves, several types of love, several type of activities. I gotta love the public workers for because of them I have potable water, drinking water, and you also. And 2.5 million of this big metropolis city we call mega city metropolis. 2.5 million people on the island of Montreal. Its Hawk Island is the big, second most populated in Canada. Third most populated in correction, second most populated in Canada, 7th or 8th, top 10 in the North American Collective in North America. Even when we include, of course, even when we include Mexico City is actually number 1 now. Mexico City is actually number 1. So Mexico City, since about 2007, 2010, Mexico City is number 1, or even before. Mexico City is number 1 population-wise. So it's top 7th or top 8, 7th or 8. I'm not exactly sure on the topness and if it's 7th or 8, but it's among the top cities in the population-wise. So Montreal is second most populated, and got a beautiful place here where we're going a little bit of that zigzag, you know, left, right, and I must not forget to put a little bit of that drill in and to go on the go, and gotta get some biking here on the biking lane. So you got Montreal's nice extensive biking lanes, you know, nice extensive bike lanes, but you gotta love them, and it's something which it's fun for if you like bikes. Montreal's on the nice bike. So now we're gonna turn here and just go zigzag it a little bit because you got the railway there. So once again, salutations to the public workers, and it's a freestyle mode, the special binational, you know, Salvation Front, and that's what it is with the binational Salvation Front. We gotta get doing on that, you know. You live in different worlds, and we live here for today. Friends with benefits only, please. Black, white, or rainbow. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that XYZ, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that, man, you know, on the go side of things. And we gotta get it for the left, for the right, and for the purple, for the butchers, and for the nurses, for the doctors, and for the firefighters, and for the engineerings, the plumbers, you know. So gotta get it on the go, you know, to get it on the left and get it on the nice side of things, you know. We gotta get it on the left and on the right, and sometimes in the center, you know. See here the breeze makes us a little bit of good loving on this heat wave. Feels good and refreshes the body. So I'm glad I took a turn here, although I don't mind the heat wave storms, cold waves. I go to my second home, the mountain, and that's where we click it in, and that's where we click it out, to go and to get it on the love side of things. And see, please don't pollute, just calling on the heart, don't pollute. And again, let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, biggest built sports arena ever. That's how we gotta get building with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with the love, you know. Here we are. So that's cute. So that's a little bit artistic, you know. I find it cute. Blue and yellow, it's nice. It's kind of cute. I don't know, it's nice. Just like smiling a little bit, looking a bit weird, and blue and white, you know. That I gotta say, you got some art, and if you're talented like that, I guess we can make an exception, you know, to paint all these, I mean, but the other scribblings, you know, kind of seems a bit scribbling, and you know, the other one's kind of has an artistic, to me, in my opinion, an artistic merit, you know. That's how we got, and so we gotta get drilling, man, to get it go on the hydration side of things, dude. Kind of get it on the love side of things, and get some water, kind of get this hydration, and gotta get it on the left and on the right and in the middle. I'm gonna get it here, wait for the water a bit, because sometimes you get a little bit of that poison, and wait for the water to clear. 10 seconds usually. Gonna wait for those 10 seconds, clear up, and 3, 4. Hey, who? T'aimes ça le rouge? Moi, c'est ma couleur préférée que j'aime le plus. J'entends un peu parce que des fois, il y a de la rouille qui sort. La rouille. L'autre fois, j'en ai bu, puis c'était comme tout enrouillé, là. J'ai goûté à... Fait que j'attends un peu avant que tu bois aussi. Parce qu'ils font du travail là-bas, là. Du travail public. Des travailleurs publics. C'est pas moi qui les surveille, là. Je sais pas s'ils travaillent mal ou non, là. Tu as l'air de le surveiller, puis tu feras ton opinion. Mais quand même, on doit être content parce que sinon on buvait dans la rivière. Faut être content d'avoir... Sinon on buvait dans la rivière. T'imagines-tu sans eux autres, qu'est-ce qu'on ferait? Tu ne verrais pas ta bière non plus. C'est moi. Laquelle? OK.
Ça va mieux pour un gars.
OK. Moi, ben, de temps en temps, un gars madame, des fois. Hein? Je dis un gars LGBTQ, moi, fait que...
Toi, c'est ça que t'es.
Toi, non? OK. T'es aux femmes. Aux femmes avec elle.
Ouais,
Je comprends.
Dépressif.
Je comprends.
Qui est aux femmes en ce moment dépressif? Je suis aux femmes.
Je comprends. Mais m'a te laissé là-dessus d'abord.
T'as l'air d'un homme, mon gars.
Ah ouais? Après minuit, je me transforme.
T'étais quoi? T'étais une femme?
C'est après minuit, je me transforme. Après minuit, je me transforme.
OK, puis ça parle
À une prêtresse. Parce que j'étais réincarné dans une... Tu comprends? Moi, je crois des réincarnations. Ah, j'ai pas le temps, là. J'ai pas le temps de vous parler de ça. La prochaine fois. Moi, j'étais réincarné, là, dans une autre femme. J'étais une femme dans une autre vie. J'étais ici au Québec, j'étais québécoise en 1704. J'étais femme, mais c'était avant le Québec d'aujourd'hui.
C'est ça, mais ça n'a pas tant de...
J'étais une femme, mais dans...
Ça a au moins 300 ans d'histoire ici.
Mais c'était dans le temps, là. À 1700, j'étais ici, puis j'étais une femme, même tabarnak. J'étais une femme. Les coureurs de bois, c'est moi qui leur faisais la cuisine, tout ça.
C'est toi qui nous rendais heureux pour survivre.
Je te dis.
Moi, je suis vraiment connecté avec l'Inde. Les réincarnations.
J'étais une femme en 1700, j'étais une femme... Ben, j'étais québécoise, mais pas de québécoise dans le temps du Québec de là-bas, tu sais. Hein?
Comment ça? J'étais au courant qu'il y a eu une guerre entre deux dieux.
Je sais pas.
Ça devient... il a magané le monde, il peut vous manipuler avec les reptiliens en ce moment.
Je sais pas de ça, mon chum.
Tous les mélanges sont possibles.
Moi, j'aime bien le rock'n'roll, là. Fait que... Le rock'n'roll.
Les vieux m'ont appris le rock'n'roll.
Du Québec, il est en train de boire la bière. Il attend après sa jeune femme.
Qui existe dans cette place-là. Le Americain vient de se suicider. Toutes les Français,
le suicide, c'est... Ouais, j'ai passé par ça, c'est pas drôle. C'est pas drôle. Non, ouais, arrête ça.
J'ai pris la pancarte à l'autre fois, là.
Ouais.
Un petit jeune s'est suicidé.
Ouais, c'est pas drôle. C'est pas drôle, même.
C'était écrit sur la chose, c'était écrit si vraiment ta vie c'est de la merde.
Non, mais...
Fais-toi un pack-sac qui part à marcher. L'autre jour, quand j'ai poussé ma mère devant le monde, elle s'en allait appeler la police sur moi. Je suis sorti dehors, j'allais un petit peu à trébucher dans les marches. Là, je cabote avec tout ce qui m'arrive.
Moi, j'aime pas la violence, mon chum. Je déteste ça, sérieusement. Là. Je préfère mettre les gants, là. Sportsmanship,
Oui,
mais pas de violence.
Mais
pas de violence de même, comme ça. Faites pas ça. Moi, j'aimerais pas vous voir en prison. La liberté, c'est précieux en tabarnak, ça, là.
3 jours en préventif dans toute ma vie.
Non, je comprends, là. Mais...
J'ai vu c'était quoi, c'était malade mental.
T'es libre, chum. Tu peux aller traverser la province, maintenant te mettre un sac, puis aller traverser, voir les crises de...
Je suis parti à marcher 66 km, j'ai encore marre.
T'as-tu déjà vu les centrales à Bay James? T'as-tu déjà vu?
Ça doit être fabuleux.
Ben, tu vois, tabarnak, va voir ça un moment donné, tabarnak. Les centrales à Bay James, moi, je connais l'électricité, sois fier, ici.
Ça faisait 15 ans, j'ai demandé à ma mère de me sortir avec son char, parce qu'elle vit dans ma face.
Ouais.
Sortir avec son char, m'amener en campagne, puis elle l'a jamais fait.
Il y a tellement de choses à faire, à voir. Le Canada au bout.
Moi-même, juste à pied, ce jour-là, aussi m'est arrivé un petit quelque chose. J'ai marché, sorti Montréal, Laval, en zigzag. Au début, j'étais allé par instinct. Et j'ai marché. Quand j'étais arrivé au début des fermes en campagne, j'ai vu toutes sortes d'animaux.
C'est vrai.
J'ai pleuré.
Tu as tellement de choses à voir ici. Faites quoi en prison, hein? Faites quoi en prison?
Mais je le sais, ça. J'en suis conscient. Ce qui me rend dépressif, c'est de savoir que j'ai tellement de choses à vivre, mais qui s'abstaignent dans mon quartier de Saint-Henri. Je suis plus capable.
Les 50 États des États-Unis. 50 États, man.
Ouais,
à voir, on vers le sud. Mais moi, je suis pour qu'on se fusionne avec eux autres.
Moi, je suis...
Pourquoi pas? Je suis pas Trump, mais
moi, je suis un peu Trump.
Ça me dérange pas.
Je détestais les États-Unis, puis depuis Trump, il paraît mal, puis on le bullshit à nanana, mais si tu regardes vraiment qu'est-ce qu'il fait, c'est comme indispensable en ce moment. Il joue son rôle de parrain, le planétaire, puis il crée pas de guerre, il essaie de ralentir les guerres. Vraiment...
Les guerres veulent rien savoir, qu'ils gardent ça loin d'ici.
Vraiment, c'est la première fois que je voudrais peut-être être américain.
D'un bout à l'autre.
Il est après vraiment redonner. Déjà, il redonne l'argent au peuple, les impôts, pif, paf, il est après faire des choses directes.
Je suis pas un partisan de Trump, à te le dire, mais ça me dérange pas de fusionner avec les États-Unis.
C'est ça, là, je commence à vouloir...
L'océan Atlantique, Pacifique.
C'est vrai qu'il dit Trump...
Atlantique, je m'en vais, j'ai pas le temps, ici. On va passer une journée de temps pour se parler. Puis si tu penses au suicide, là, j'ai passé dedans, là, si, comme je dis, moi je suis homme ou femme, là, souffrir de même, tu en souffres. Mais moi, j'aimerais pas de... Moi, tu viens devant moi puis je serais juge, là. C'est vraiment... Qu'est-ce que vous faites, ici, tabarnak? Je pleurais, je vous envoie dedans à Bordeaux, quelque part. T'es libre, ici, check. Combien de fois t'as fait le tour de la ville? Combien de fois t'as fait le tour? T'es-tu allé voir à Bay James, tabarnak?
Je veux juste vivre, c'est ça que j'ai besoin.
T'es-tu déjà allé voir les centrales qui ont bâti des années 80? Les années du 20e siècle? T'as jamais vu ça? Va voir ça, tabarnak. À Bay James qui t'amène voir ça ici.
C'est les G7, les
pour connaître
deux
tout
plus
ça,
grosses
man.
centrales, hein?
Et 63, mais une centrale d'Hydro-Québec qui ont bâti.
des mines, les mines Starway Diamond, les mines pour aller travailler. Je sais qu'il y a des affaires, je suis ouvert à tout en ce moment.
Va voir ça, man. Va voir les centrales d'Hydro-Québec, man. Voir qu'est-ce qu'ils ont bâti, puis ça fait. Qu'est-ce qu'ils ont bâti, tabarnak.
Je peux y aller en train, c'est même pas cher, le train.
Pas de violence, man. Moi, j'aime pas ça, la violence. Tu sais? Pas de violence. Veux-tu un câlin?
Oui.
Moi, je déteste ça, la violence, mais je la ferai pour te défendre les sites, là.
La violence, c'est pénétrer les énergies de l'autre sans avoir été autorisé. Une fois...
Pour vous défendre, je la ferai, la violence.
Mais c'est un peu ce que je suis rendu de plus en plus.
Le Québec, ma famille du Québec, de bout à l'autre, le Canada, puis les États-Unis.
La guerre par haine de l'ennemi, mais par amour de mes proches. Mais quand je sens que beaucoup de proches m'ont trahi, je sais pas, j'ai quand même mal agi. Je sais même plus pour qui me battre, à part pour moi-même.
Puis moi que je sois vengé 11 fois. Ça, c'est la dernière chanson rock'n'roll avant qu'on parte. Que je sois vengé 11 fois! Vengeance, moi, c'est le dragon arc-en-ciel. C'est lui qui aime les homosexuels. Que je sois vengé, mon frère. Ceux qui essaient de me trahir, que je sois vengé fois 11. À Jésus, je lui dois rien, juste au travers des Québec qui ont bâti les centrales. Puis les fermiers aussi. Puis ceux qui t'en donnent la bière, là, c'est eux autres qu'il faut te remercier. Les travailleurs. Puis ceux qui me font que j'aille la chèque de BS en juillet. C'est à cause des autres que je vais l'avoir, non? Pour me payer le loyer, non? Pas à cause de Jésus. Tu vois les illusions, mon frère? Ciao, ciao. That's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get going with that, and we're gonna get on that rock and roll with that, man. French Canadian there, you know. My brother there sang some of that French Canadian, and I told him what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing for the love, and that's what we gotta get doing for the bakers, for the butchers, for the nurses and the doctors, and those who get it here, man. In Montreal, you gotta see so many things in Quebec, and we gotta get that liberation, and we gotta get united with my brothers and sisters. And he was teary-eyed a bit, drinking early, but you know, I said I don't like violence, and we hugged a bit, and you know, it was a little bit of that hug, and I told him, you know, whatever, I'm honest and got that Asperger's, so I told him of the LGBTQ community, you know, so LGBTQ community with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta rock and roll discussions. And my past life, I was a woman here in 1700s, and I was helping cook for the travailleurs, the workers, and got a workers, and he's there drinking, and he's probably been through a lot, you know. He's probably been through a lot, and he's probably been through a lot with that, and he's got there on the go, and he's got some change, and he's got some heart, and he's drinking. He's allowed to drink, you know. I said, only thing I don't like violence, and I said I would do aggression first to defend you. To defend you coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go with that, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know, because he deserves his second chance. Told me he did some time, and I said, take your second chance. There's so many things for you to see, to do. I said, Bay James La Centrale, to see who was built and who was built, all the things which we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing for that appreciation, man. Appreciation, and he's gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, man, you know. And he's second chance. I prefer seeing him healed, reestablished, or rehabilitated. And all my brothers and sisters in the North American Collectif 63, we gotta get that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. He spoke about having been and did some time, and you know, I guess I served my time being from that small underground prison like type of cell, type of basement. You know, I guess I served my night time, and that's how we gotta get doing. And she spoke a little bit of that suicide, and I was suicidal, and said it's no joke, you know. He was a homosexual suicide, I guess, because he was a homosexual. He gotta get that suicide because he was a homosexual. So I am a androgynous pansexual, men, women, and you know, just sometimes we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta whatever we feel like, and we gotta get some loving black, white, and rainbow, you know, and let not hate direct our consciousness, you know. Gotta get on that, not hate to hit our consciousness, but rehabilitation, man. North American Rehabilitation Act, and the Dragon Army, Quebecers, Canadians for the 63, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Let's build together the 44, we gotta build together the 44, and he'd shed some tears, and I guess changed a little bit of that loving, and he needs maybe somebody, or maybe he's a closet one, you know, because there's a lot of closet homosexual, bisexuals, homosexuals, but nothing to be ashamed of. And you know, you just gotta heal and channel those energies. And he wanted a hug. He said he wanted a hug, and I give him a hug, because I need a hug sometimes. And with the main message is HUG, you know, hug like you never hugged before. And he needs a probably second chance, as there are many people who need second chances. I'm just gonna rush past by my cousin here, the side. Yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna speed it up. So basically what we're doing, oh my gosh, look at those branches. We're going to the second place, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things. And the beautiful flowers there, quite cute, cuties. I was there in the shade and drinking, I guess, a little bit early for me to drink. I don't drink, but I made a little bit of joke with that, and said, hey, as long as you're not hurting anybody, and said I don't like violence. I told him in French, because I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, who was born in the USA 3 times, twice, you know, twice, you know, twice. Post 76, twice post 77 dicks, twice, and you know, that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, man. And now I say I would do or to defend you coast to coast, ocean to ocean, here, Quebecers, Canadians, you know. Other than that, Dragon Armies for SSD, pledge your allegiance, and rehabilitation of the criminal population and the rebuilding of the North American ghettos together. The rebuilding of the North American ghettos, the rebuilding of the North American ghettos. We gotta rebuild the ghettos, the North American urban cities, you know. That's how we gotta rebuild the North American urban cities. We gotta rebuild them, and that's how we gotta get drilling with that, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things to get it love, and we gotta get it for the love, and yeah, that's beautiful. See, that looks like a North American criminal rehabilitation, you know. 2 plus 2 equals 5, 2 plus 2 equals 5. That's from 2 plus 2 equals 5, or gotta get it on the go. So for the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, we gotta get it for the lovers and the butchers, the bakers, and the youth there. I'm just gonna pass to hydrate again. I'm gonna pass by that side because I'm super thirsty again. It's just super hot, but not hot enough for me to really complain. It's just I gotta hydrate and gotta check the place and smell here, doing a little bit of that good loving with that, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, those plumbers, and gotta get it for those tennis players, and always wait a bit. Oh, where it is? Gonna wait a bit, about 10 seconds, man, before we get it. Just because there's public works, and sometimes you get that rust, you know. Gotta go 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, rock and roll. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was good. Oh yeah. That was good. Oh, that's what I needed. Some of that good hydration to get it on the go. Waiting for my fellow cousins, uncles, and you know, he's also part of my family, him there drinking beer, you know, so his freedom to drink beer, his liberty, you know, his liberty, his freedom to drink beer there is also some liberty and freedom to defend, you know, whether he's on welfare or not, and if he doesn't do violence, you know, that's the most important thing. Don't do violence, and command your aggression, channel it, and encourage all to work out, train, exercise, and working out, train, exercising. Just channel it, you know. Channel it. Because I am intense. I'm super concentrated. I'm intense, but I don't like violence, you know. This is Park Louis Said. So that park, this park here, Park Louis Said, is called Louis Said. I met him in a past life when I was a man, and once I was a woman. But Louis Said I met in a past life, 1904, and I was a woman here in 1700s, as I was born in the United States 3 times post 1776. Once as a woman, twice a man, served in the same United States Armed Forces twice. Just gotta read Through a Glass Darkly, George Patton, one of the most important generals in U.S. military history and U.S. history thereof, is George Patton, who wrote one of my favorite poems called Through a Glass Darkly, through THROUGHAGLASSDARKLY, darkly, through a glass darkly. Here it is, Louis Said. So that's dedicated to the Quebec sports sports. It was strongest man, and so we got to get doing with that, and so you gotta get rolling, man, and you know you gotta get on that, you know, like that. Sometimes we gotta get doing, man, and it's better to love, and I gotta have his back also, you know, because he deserves a second, third chance even, depending on the XYZ crimes committed, XYZ wrongs committed, but he shed some tears, so I know there's hope for him as well, and I know there has been hope for me. Just like there's hope for me, and has been hope for me, and I survived being attacked by surprise, and I survived COVID, and I survived that small prison cell type of situation where there was lots of mold, and I'm just financially stressed. I would have loved to be a millionaire, and I would have said, hey, you need a job, you need some work. I would have given him some work. Just like I got 2 weeks ago, $30 an hour, I would have given $30 an hour to do some work, and I said one thing: no violence, only for self-defense. Black, white, or brown in the kingdom. The 63, as we're gonna fuse Canada, United States. He said a little bit he supports Trump in certain things. You know, I am not a Trump supporter. I would have voted for Kamala Biden, but I am a Democratic Republican, and I'm a Democratic Republican, not a centrist. Pro-labor and love, universal revolutionary centrist who's androgynous pansexual, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing on the love, and we gotta get doing on that loving side of things, and gotta get doing on the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the plumbers, the electricians, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and gotta get on that love side of things, man. So we gotta get doing, man. Gotta get loving, man, and gotta get on that love, and you know, we gotta get love is also action, you know. But I also sang my song Avenge 11-fold, Avenge 11-fold, Avenge 11-fold, because I say I pay my debt zero, and I love the beautiful sky, but that's what it is with that. And you know, I believe in redemption, strongly believe in redemption, and strongly believe in second chances. I said to him in French, my fellow cousin there, who's part of my family, you know, that I wouldn't like to send his ass to jail. If I would have been a judge, I would say you better go see. Said you ever went see the dams? Did you ever go see the dams? Dams here in the 63. Hydro-Quebec built one of those big mega projects at the Bay James. I want to go see it. It's so majestic, so powerful, so majestic built. I say that powers with clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy. All the work that was done in the past 20th century, that's we have here, civilization being a privilege. We gotta go down and we gotta secure it, because we're open for sabotage and espionage across the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. We gotta unite, and we gotta create the 2 complementary, covenant and cooperative institutions. As we're on the verge of a financial collapse, we need to do the DRT, debt refusion theory, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. The debt refusion theory, you know, something which we gotta be implementing a beautiful sky, you know, and sometimes we just gotta be taking our second, third chances to the fullest. Maybe I was an alcoholic. I was thinking about that because I saw him drinking. Was I like that in 2012, 2013, before 2010? You know, beautiful. 2010, 2011, was I like that? Was I doing alcohol and drugs that I can't remember my life? And I had drugs and trauma, and around 2014 I was attacked by surprise and hit my head, had a dislocated right shoulder, was all bloodied up, and I was in the hospital, Jewish General Hospital. I gotta retrieve I said I'm gonna go this week, maybe this week or next week. Before July I gotta do deadlines, but I missed so many deadlines myself because due to the Asperger's, you know, I'm super focused, super concentrated, super dedicated. With Aspies, we have a routine. We have this strong, rigid routine. And my routine and rigidness, my Aspie routine, ritualized routines, and many Aspies, we have ritualized routines, is of course 24/7 workout train, march as a workout as I'm doing now, marching and working out and dancing and geopolitical analysis. I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, again taking great pride in my work and admiring those beautiful flowers. Wow, look at those gorgeous. And of course admiring the beautiful flowers, and also rock and roll, singing that rock and roll, you know. That's all we got, and that's all we gotta get doing, man, and that's all we got to do, man, and so we gotta get some of that loving, man. And I see somebody putting some red there. I don't know if somebody put some cloak, and that's how I entered into the conversation with my fellow citizen, because he loves that red and said I'm only red, and I love it, a little bit of that red. See there, somebody put it. We gotta get it on the go now. See, red, you know, gotta get that red, man. I don't know if there's a tent there or something, but it's just red, and I'm curious what it is. Maybe next time we'll take that route to see if there's a red tent there, or somebody put some of that red, my favorite color, maybe. Dragon army tents, red. Dancing goddess army tents, green. We gotta unite fuse, and my brother again, cousin, you know, I told him, you know, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm 50-50, and love those red roses there, and get his second chances, and spoke a little bit about my reincarnation, and spoke to me about some trauma in the family, suicides, and I've been suicidal, been depressed. Unfortunately, my Aspie community, parallel to having a high unemployment rate, between 60 and 80%, it's also a high suicide rate, and high suicide rate, and the suicidal rate is 11 times, correction, suicidal and depression rate in Aspies is 9 times higher, you know. That's what it is with that, and it's 9 times higher. And of course, not just depression, but being unemployed. Unemployment is 11 times higher, 11 times higher than the vast majority of the population. The vast majority of the population, 11 times higher. That's what it is, and that's how we got, you know. There we got it on the go, and we got it on the love, and so we gotta get on that condition and get on the principle side of things, and we gotta be grateful and thankful, you know. Rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and gotta get some of that loving, somebody making some love. And it's not all about the money. It's not all about the money, you know. It's not all about the money. And he was a bit on the pro-Trump, saying some things that he believes Trump is going. And you know, I say Granddaddy Trump is Dragon versus Trump, and I have been and will continue to encourage people to work out, train, exercise, and we need to build the 444, and the 4, of course, is the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, you know, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's how we need to build. And there's some watermelon there. I feel like taking a bite out of that. That feels like I go deeper usually. Go deeper into that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that. And they gotta get drilling, you know, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those who gotta get it on the drill side of things, and all those beautiful flowers there, how they got stacked up. So you can take the boat here and check a little bit of that loving on the beautiful boat. And yeah, sometimes we just gotta get it on the drill, and sometimes we just gotta get it on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the doers, you know, to get it on the go. And that's all it is, and we gotta get it now for the drill, you know. So for the 63 and for the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. We gotta get doing for the left and the right, and the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the doctors, Firefighters. That's how we got it, man. So we gotta get it on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, you know. Gotta get doing for the rehabilitation of the North American Collective, and we gotta get doing for now, man. As here's the part of the river. So I'm just gonna focus and finish up on Asperger's. I'm gonna go into the DRT, debt refusion theory. So that's what we're gonna get doing, you know, for the DRT, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that, you know. So something which we gotta get loving on the side, man, you know. That's what we got, you know. So it's always butchers, bakers, nurses, and doctors, electricians, and the plumbers, and gonna go get it, man. And it's always on the beautiful, and the sun and beautiful flowers, you know. It's something which, you know, and we gotta get doing with that, you know. Look at those yellow flowers, man. It's a beautiful stack of flowers here. Quite nice, I gotta admire. See, it seems like they're these type of flowers here, and then you got the yellow flowers, and then the other flowers, and the yellow flowers come back again. So that is something which we have to be understanding about that, and see how they're doing, and see how they're getting, and see how they're planted, and see how they're, of course, right here. The North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, we got to implement, and we got to implement on that, you know, to go. And here we got the yellow coming up. Seems to be like a pattern, if you notice, of repetitive kind of pattern of the flowers, beautiful yellow flowers. So see, they're coming up, and then these ones come, and the yellow come back then again, and the white ones in between. So it's like triple colored, the white, and then you got like the purple, and then you got the yellow. So again, Asperger's is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. There is no medication for Asperger's. I just have to manage the characteristics, which sometimes they can seem odd and weird in a social sphere, can be awkward, can be sometimes very direct, very offensive. I think I was a bit maybe direct with the fellow citizen there, with the fellow citizen who was drinking, but I got his back coast to coast. That we got to get drilling on that. We got to get on that loving, and you know, I was a little bit on that goal, man. So I got. And no, I would vote no. You know, I would vote no. I would vote no for that's the separatist, but I would vote no for sure. And basically, I'm also you know what I mean, for since COVID, I'm for fusing my way, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom's way, to fuse Quebec, Canada, Quebec, and it's time to set up the binational salvation front for the Canadian Republic, for the 13 in unison, and to fuse the 13 states of the new Canadian Republic with the United States, and set up the binational salvation front to, in order to mass build the 44, mass build of 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, you know. Mass build of 44 tunnels, the nuclear war. And I gotta admire how they laid up. Look at those roses from there to there, just roses everywhere. Isn't it nice? From that side to that side, the plateau of roses just goes, and it's so beautiful if you see how it is, and you gotta love it with that. And so you gotta get loving, man. Plateau full of roses, you know, and I love the crows coming to me. Yes, I know. Me and the crows have a special relations. Gotta kisses as I go, you know. And also, you know, gotta finalize on Asperger's. Asperger's is a neurodivergent mental condition which makes me predisposed to special interest, and those special interests, of course, for me is geopolitics 24/7, and geopolitics, sports and fitness, and of course rock and roll with that, rock and roll with that, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, for rock and roll farmers, butchers, and burkers, and all those we gotta get doing on the left side of things, and that's what we gotta get doing on the now, you know, to be the XYZ, and we gotta get doing for now. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, man. So Asperger's is this neurodivergent. I am part of this less than 1%, less than half less than 0.44% have Asperger's in the world. So it's not a well-known condition. It is actually pretty rare. So it's very rare, actually. Not a lot of people even know what it is. Not a lot of people know what it is, you know, but some people know what it is. But some people don't confuse it with a mental illness, which is not, because there's no medication. We have these mutations of the brains. We're super intense, super concentrated, and we have this ritualized like routine. But when it comes to certain circumstances in the social sphere, we're very odd, we're very weird. We can be out of the norm, you know, because you're the majority, 99.56%. But we have our vulnerabilities, and I gotta give some shout out gratitude for my anonymous friend who last year gave me a book which I studied and I read and I integrated to know my vulnerabilities and know my difference in parallel with the majority of the population, that I am part of this tiny small percentage of a population which we're odd, and sometimes we can be direct, and whatever the case may be with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go. But whatever the love side may be, is we need to get some of that love in, you know. So that's something which we got, you know. It's something which we have to get on the love side of things to get it doing and to get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the love side of things, and gotta get it on the love side of things for that, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing, you know. So it's get all right, you know. That's just how we are, you know, and how we are inside, you know, to get it on the love. And so we gotta get on that construction side and getting on the construction building. I mean bridges. Construction side, I mean building bridges with the neurotypicals. With the neurotypicals, we're doing the neurotypicals, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the go, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know, to get on the butchers and the bakers, the nurses and the doctors and the firefighters and the plumbers and those bakers and those nurses and those doctors and all those, of course, involved in the production of food, you know. That's how we gotta get doing with that, man. And Aspies, we gotta build bridges, you know. Gotta build bridges, you know, for the neurotypicals. And us neurodivergents is always building bridges. It's always building bridges, you know. Yeah, because it's a bridge building time, and that's how we gotta go doing with that. And so we gotta get on that love side of things, and gotta get on that love, you know. So we gotta get doing, you know, with this, with the things to get it on the go, and we gotta get on those bakers, butchers, and gotta get it on those truckers, nurses, doctors, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production of food, you know. They gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and gotta get doing on the nurses, you know. They also gotta change some diapers now in the daycare, so I gotta be thinking about the nurses who change some diapers in the daycares, you know. That's what they gotta get doing with that. They gotta get doing on those nurses and on those doctors and on those firefighters, you know. That's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. So Asperger's is this mental divergent, and we have these weird abnormal behaviors sometimes which can seem a bit odd and can be confounded with mental illness, but it's this little obsession with details sometimes which can seem weird, you know. But I don't like violence myself, and I lived it, and there's no medication. I just got to be aware of my difference, these characteristics which, you know, make us a bit different, and that's all we got to make us a bit different. And that difference is also has its vulnerabilities, but also has its many hidden blessing. There's where the mountain there we're gonna go. Top the mountain there. Top the mountain, you know. Top the mountain. So there's where we're heading. Just gonna put some of that cream soon, and we're heading atop the mountain there. Gonna take on that go with that, and gonna take it on the go, and we gotta get doing on that, you know. Here we are, man. That's what we gotta get doing that, and so we gotta get doing for the love, you know, to get it on the side of things where we're not totally that apt, have that many capabilities and abilities when it comes to other things. So as species we tend to neglect certain things, but that neglect is not necessarily a negative because it's counterbalanced by the minimal requirements of certain support. And you know, if I'm in the house and I got the Mr. Clean personality, so my friend says anything I gotta clean, then I clean, and just get back dirty, get back clean, and we gotta get doing on that solution to get it X and get it wide and get it on the appellation to get it on the zone. And sometimes we just gotta be on several levels of understanding of what Asperger's is. And I recommend the book, which was loaned to me a few times, and I read it in some main chapters, which I learned to know my vulnerabilities, because Aspies, being that we're this tiny small fraction of a community, and certain of our characteristics certain people might take advantage of. So that vulnerability, I recommend appreciating Asperger's syndrome. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome. So appreciating Asperger's syndrome. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome is a book I highly recommend. So I learned a few chapters especially which were pertinent in my position, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with the love side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing now, you know. So we gotta get doing on the love, you know, to get it on the butchers, the bakers, the nurses. And yeah, we gotta pass on the bridge, and I don't know why there's a number 44 there. I always wonder, it's like a 4-4. So anyways, Asperger's is this neurological mental divergent condition. I just gotta say I love these colors here, and that's what it is, you know. Sometimes I tend to focus on certain things, you know. On certain things, like details, and también pa. So that's what it is with that, man, and that's how we gotta get doing. And anyways, you know, that's Asperger's is this neurological mental condition. Even now, you know, when I'm marching, my brain is mostly focused on geopolitics. To be honest, as I am in my videos, you know, it's just a constant thing. So this constant thing, and now the declaration that it is with that, and that's what it is. You know, the declaration. The declaration is, of course, that geopolitically, our main interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with the United States. There's no way around that. This is just a constant. It was in the 20th century, constant, just like the pi number. The pi symbol symbolizing a number, you know? The pi symbol, the N type of with the two heads, two-headed N type of thing, type of symbol, which represents the pi. The pi symbol, which is, of course, the pi symbol. the pi symbol, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is, man. The pi symbol is that two-headed N. It's like two heads to an N. And of course, the pi symbol represents the relation between the diameter. See, here it is. We gotta get that Operation Northern Scorpio. That's what we got, Operation Northern Scorpio, and that's what we gotta get doing, Operation Northern Scorpio. That's what we got doing with that, and I see you right through you. That's where we're gonna head, to the mountain. That's where it is, man. To the mountain, you know. That's where we are. Sometimes we point the camera upwards here, and that's where we are with that, and that's where we are, you know. That's how we gotta get doing with that drills, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. Something which we got, you know. That's how we gotta get drilling, man. So Asperger's is this neurological condition, and I gotta live with it 24/7, and that's what I gotta get living with, you know. So I just live with it, and that's what I got, and that's what I got it on the go, you know, to get it on that, and that's what we got, you know. So we got, you know, something which we gotta be on the love side of things, and gotta get loving with that, and that's what it is, man. Asperger's, you know, it's gotta get it on the drills, you know, so we got it left and right and butchers. Dogs of war, man. Dogs of war. Dog of war. Dogs of war. So Asperger's, this neurological mental divergent condition, you know, makes us predisposed to that special interest, and those special interests for me are those holy trinity. 24/7 is 24/7 geopolitics. Geopolitics. That's how they go with that, geopolitics. 24/7, you know. That's what we got, you know. 24/7, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. 24. Geopolitics, sports, and fitness, and that's what it is with that. It's sports and fitness, man. Rock and roll, sports and fitness, and that's what I gotta get doing, man. Sports and fitness, and gotta get doing on the go, man. To get on the eating, man. Gotta get learn some fishing, man. You know, it's a skill to know in case of World War III. You know, gotta learn it myself. You know, nuclear war, man, might start any soon. And I predicted what's happening now. You know, I predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, in October, November, I predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019. October, November, I predicted that there's going to be an international conflagration, and that's what I do 24/7. Geopolitics, sports and fitness, geopolitics, and rock and roll, you know. That's my holy trinity that I do. Rock and roll, sports and fitness, and I'm on my fitness journey since I crossed Canada 2017. In 2017, I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That event made me come out of being depressed, and was suicidal, and that event changed my whole life. And I've written some documents, some paper, theoretical, mostly academic in nature, since I crossed Canada coast to coast. And before that, I was depressed, I was suicidal. And in 2017, I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and my family Quebecers, Canadians, and North Americans, and that's how we got with that. And so I gotta get down that rock and roll, man, you know. So I gotta get on that love inside of things, and building all those muscles. I gotta admire some of that, you know. Gotta get doing with that drill, and gotta get doing on that loving, man, to get fitness here. I'm enjoying seeing people doing that workout, and that's how we gotta get doing on that love, and we gotta get loving, and it's getting some fitness journey. I lost between 80 and 93 pounds, and I always like to get in shape more and more. I guess summer's coming. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that body dragon. Nobody's born a dragon, you become one. Founded the Dragon Army. It's basically a call for a public-private partnership and implementing my new 911 Dragon Army, total security, total service, total defense protocols, and implementing Operation Northern Scorpion, which I developed after I crossed Canada and before 2020, when I survived COVID. And that's it what it is. That's it what it is with that. And that's it what it is with the loving side of things, you know. And that's what it is, man. Here I gotta be prudent on the side, because my fellow brothers and sisters of Canada, and which back in 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that's when I had a revelation when I was in Banff, you know. Now I'm thinking about the G7, that they're in Banff there. I remember when I went and crossed Canada in 2017, and that made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and ever since then I've been on a fitness journey. When I came back home, it was summer 2017, and that's how we gotta get doing on that 2017 to get, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. It's something which we gotta get doing. That's what it is, you know. So crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, made me come out of being depressed and being under depression and being suicidal. Because I said to myself, I had like a revelation, you know. I said so many things to see and to do, and I'm being reborn here, right here on this island, and that's how we gotta get drilling. Gotta salute the train conductors. I took Via Rail when I came back from In August, I went in 2017 August, I went in British Columbia, Vancouver. In September, I went by via rail. It took 25 hours and 44 minutes. 25 hours, 44 minutes, 25 hours and 44 minutes from Montreal to Halifax. In September 2017, I'm auctioning those tickets, and those tickets that I'm auctioning, and I have written a document, of course, pertaining to the need for mass financing, the need for spiritual rehabilitation, and the need, of course, for the mass financing of the citizens tourism. The citizens tourism. That's how we gotta get doing with that. And the citizens tourism, to get it on the go, to mass finance citizens tourist activity. Something which we gotta do, and that's what we gotta be doing with that. And it's super important for mental health. Super important for mental health. It establishes a strong esprit de corps with the fellow Canadians. Establishes that strong esprit de corps, something which we need, something which we gotta be doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. So it's something which we have to be on the lookout. On the lookout for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and my brothers and sisters in uniform, ambulance. It's time for the new 911 protocols. We gotta get on that drill and gotta establish a strong esprit de corps, and we gotta get doing for those to get it on the love side of things. Play that black, white, and rainbow. If you wanna come make some loving, gotta be a man, a woman, but you gotta be 18, man. Man and woman, you gotta be 18. Gotta loving on that side, and so we gotta get doing, man. You gotta be a man or a woman. That's what it is. If you're a man, a woman, you gotta get it on the drews. You gotta be on that man and a woman, and we gotta work out, train, exercise, and that's how we gotta get doing on that. And so we gotta get doing on the meditation. And sometimes we just gotta be grateful, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, and the plumbers, the electricians, all those involved in the distribution and the production of food. That's just what we gotta get doing, man. You gotta XYZ, Gotta salute the firefighters, Gotta send some loving. The firefighters there, make them some good loving. The firefighters. And here, just be careful. Just like driving, you hold the right side, the right side. Just like driving, same protocols as you be driving a car. Drive to the right, these are things which in the public I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations, and gonna see who hit that gym, who hit that gym with that, and gonna see my brother do a little bit of breaks there on pass, get it on the go, and that's all you gotta get doing, man. Oh yeah, glad to see people doing on that here. And I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna go to the mountain. Maybe tomorrow we'll try to hit it up in the morning. I just was curious. I was just curious to see who's hitting that gym here, public gym. And it seems like there's a lot of people. Man, women, and that's so we gotta get drilling with that. And so we gotta get on that drill, man. Oh yeah. Now it's safe for me to cross. Hitting that gym good, man, and I'm glad to see people hitting that gym. And the only thing I want to build here is build a water fountain, a water fountain right there, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and gonna get it onto the mountain, man, gotta go keep on working out, training, and we're heading up to the mountain, man. You know, that's what we're gonna get doing, man. We're gonna get doing on that go. You know, here we are, man. People are working out, training, and keep it clean. Here you got some of that workout, and we got some of that love, and we got some of that fitness, and we got some of that blame, and we got some of that fitness power. I love saying that. I love saying that. So I'm happy, joyous, because even on a hot day, and we're just gonna apply some sunscreen now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put down here. I'm just gonna apply some sunscreen before we discuss the TRT, because it's hot. So gotta hydrate and see my backpack. I'm gonna show you what I got now, show you what I got inside of it, and make sure that nothing got crushed. And now we're gonna go all the way. Look at this beautiful tomato, but a part of it gotta be cut because it's moldy. So tomatoes for me, for my anonymous friend, for me and somebody else. And look at this big one. Look at this big tomato. I got some cantaloupe from USA, Sweet Legend, US cantaloupe. And these are energy drinks for the summer, and these are the these are the gloves by which I'm challenging Donald Trump. So tomorrow morning, if I go to the gym, and in that morning there, we're gonna do some of that workout tomorrow, Wednesday. And here we are. I got something else here. This is, I need to donate it. It's not open, it's still sealed. It's Rejuvenate the Floor Restorers for the floor. I just got to make sure that it's closed properly, see, because it's toxic, so I don't want it to spill in any way whatsoever. So it's double sealed. Otherwise I'm going to dispose of it. And of course I got the open disinfectant. Here I got some water. I'm just going to hydrate a little bit, and got some sunscreen. Going to hydrate before we sunscreen and go to the mountain, go straight to the mountain. Let's rock and roll. So this is the sunscreen. Gonna apply it. Well, first I'm gonna bag everything. So these are the gloves, auctioning them for $1 million. These gloves were given to yours truly back when I started challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match. Let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Harbor Ball, where of course the Harbor Ball was played. Also known as the Bro Ball. Also known as the Blackout Ball, also known as the Harbor Ball. Several nicknames. 3 of them are Harbor Ball, Blackout Ball, Bro Ball. I'm gonna put these tomatoes back. And inside this box is 3.5 bananas and 2 other fruits. So this is about a few pounds here. So it adds up. The pounds levels, I meant the pounds, of course, they add up. And of course it's gonna open at the bottom a bit, but we're gonna add it on top here like that. And the other fruit, oh, it's already pierced through. Yeah, it's already pierced through, so we're gonna put them on top of the bananas then, like that. See, unless I eat it right now, but I gotta wash it a little bit. So I'm just gonna eat it right now because it's not worth for me to carry it. I made an assessment. It's actually probably gonna damage the bag, so I'm just gonna eat it right now. Both of them. Both of them. Got a little bit of dirt on it. So use it or lose it. Let's put some of that sunscreen on the legs. Face. Make sure it's closed properly. And off we go. Put the backpack on the back. Make sure I'm gonna close it properly there, locked. Locked. See, it's more than 44 pounds for sure, more than 44. More than 44 pounds, more than 44 pounds, and that's all we got. And that's what we got. And now we're gonna go. Enough of my face already. All right, towards the mountain we go. Grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and gonna discuss a little bit of that DRT and then switch to that French because we love Privee. So I'm glad I saw people working out, training, exercising, and that's always my fitness activity, which I prefer. Yeah, I can be a little bit of that. Play that rainbow, so if I can make anybody's pleasure, I gotta be 18 plus though. I can be a cuck, C-O-C-K. General Rainbow Dragon is the greatest cuckold in the universe. Also, you know that I'm the greatest cuckold in the universe. You know that I'm the greatest cuckold. If I'm gonna be a cuck, I'm gonna be one of the greatest. So I'm the greatest dancer, the greatest androgynous pansexual dancer, priestess, and the greatest geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist of the post-COVID era. Post-COVID era for sure. The post-COVID era. So the post-COVID era. The post-COVID era. So that's just what it is with that, man. And here we got a little bit of that. Some have talents, you know, some we can do, and that's what it is, and that's what they gotta get doing with that, and that's what they gotta get drilling, you know. Sometimes we just gotta get and do, you know, because I guess when you have that access, which is you just got to clean it, and public hygiene maintenance. My only concern is public hygiene, and I would love to volunteer to build there. You know what I want to build there? I want to build contribute in building a water fountain, because somebody built that public gym and they give some volunteering and some financing from the city and the public workers. Gotta get for the public workers, the builders, because I will to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, aka the greatest sports coliseum of the North American complex of Canada, United States built together, U.S. Canada joint as we're gonna get rid of the border and to build it, of course, on the Canadian-US border. Once me and Donald Trump, we're gonna fight to inaugurate it, and then we're gonna have sports in perpetuities for the NFL, NHL, NBA, universities, high schools, and all other women and men and dancing goddess. We're gonna build the forgotten goddess GODDSS temple. I created those trillions of kisses, and of course the House of the Dragon, pyramid, scarlet, and crimson, scarlet, crimson, and scarlet are shades of red, and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent community, you know, my fellow neurodivergent community, something which we got and to build here together, and that's what we're gonna get doing. We're gonna go all the way to the mountain here from downtown Montreal, and it's time that I'm downtown, a little building of that bang. We're gonna discuss some finances. We're gonna discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange in it, the universal exchange in it. We're gonna get around the creation of the universal exchange. So the DRT, super important that I discuss the DRT now before I forget and neglect, and I guess I can pass on the other side and go by that beautiful middle center there, and that's how we gotta get doing. And so we gotta get doing on for the workers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers, the firefighters, and once again to finalize on neurodivergence. It is of course a neurodivergence which makes me specifically inclined as other aspects. Of course there are several different layers of neurodivergence. My special neurodivergence is of course related to geopolitics and geopolitical theoretical analysis and sports and fitness and of course rock and roll. So that's how I go with the drill, and that's how I gonna get it for now for the beautiful bakers and truckers and nurses and firefighters and plumbers and electricians. And I always gotta say to those who come to Montreal, please learn some French and only consume, ingest, consume, ingest, and consume local products from Quebec. Quebec made cheese, Quebec made wine, and you gotta check a little bit of the architectural styles which we have here, and you can check a little bit of the downtown. Gotta salute the workers who build the skyscrapers. Gotta build a little bit of the skyscrapers, build some more skyscrapers, but those who build it in the 20th century, I gotta give some salutations, because it takes that old school with the new school. It's gonna take a little bit of that old school with the new school, of course, to get it, drill it in, and to establish the DRT, to create the U. Is gonna take a public-private partnership. Is gonna take a public-private partnership, and that's what we're gonna get together. And Asperger's, again, is not a mental illness, a neurological mental divergent condition. One of the characteristics, for example, would be for me to focus, for example, on the details of those numbers. See, like I discussed in past buses, 44, and there's a line, and there's the 32. See, a lot of buses that I seen today was 40, a line, and then another number, and you got this one is 44 and 32. So you can equate it how you want, but of course there's a classification number, there's a purpose for that number, and just Aspies, we tend to focus on these weird specific details which other people say, what the fuck, WTF, what for? But that's just the characteristics of Asperger's. You know, I'm just gonna press the button here. I'm gonna use my shirt because I don't know how many people touched it today, and it's always bacteria, germs, and microbes out there, which we got to be aware, especially in terms of the newly released information that we had some problems with in the United States, my brothers and sisters, about 3 new documented layers of supposedly agricultural terrorism, you know. And of course we are vulnerable to, of course, outside interior influences. I've written several documentations and papers related to the collective security of the North American civilization, while also having learned a lot about my own vulnerabilities as an Aspie, having learned all my vulnerabilities as an Aspie, and Aspies who can be pretty vulnerable, and but now when it comes to those special interests, you know, and anybody want to make some love with me, black, white, and rainbow, men and women, you got to be 18 plus. I'm gonna card you though. I'm gonna ask for the cards, and gonna ask for you to be 18 plus, and we're gonna wait a little bit because I want to go that side, but it seems like it's not changing here. It seems like it's not changing, you know, but we're just gonna wait and cross prudently to go get it on the do, and gotta get it on the love side of things and prudent, and I'll wait for the green to cross this street. Just gonna wait, I guess. You know, so the DRT now, the debt refusion theory, stands for D, debt, R, refusion, T, theory. The debt refusion theory is of course my theory for the North American collective. It is of course a theory which has to be implemented. There's no way that, of course, there's no way out of this current financial situation except for the DRT, the debt refusion theory. gonna cross myself because everybody's crossing there, but there's a way we circulate because of course it's stuck, right? It's stuck, so it's stuck, so you got to do like a stop and then cross. It's stuck there, so that's why the cars were crossing on the red. It happens, you just got to be aware that that could be, we're vulnerable to our systems, and we are vulnerable to certain 3G, 4G, 5G hacking and other hacking which can be involved, from outside exterior forces. And I'm not a big IT person, but I know a little bit. And of course you get those scams which sometimes are, but for more vulnerable. And of course we got to do a total integration for the 911, new 911 Dragon Army protocols for total security, total service, total defense, for total security, total defense. And that's all we got. And here it is, a little bit on that go. But my cousins here with the dogs and all my family here, Quebecers, Canadians, and all those who come to join us here, gotta discuss the DRT, the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory is paradoxically the theory which can salvage the current situation where we are presently with the record-breaking debts. As I go to the mountain, my second home, my mistress, my doctor and my mistress, the forest and the mountain, sometimes they switch. The rocks are my doctor, the forest is my mistress. Sometimes the rocks are my mistress and the forest is my doctor, vice versa. There is no medication for Asperger's. I just have to manage the characteristics and the symptoms. I just have to manage the characteristics and the symptoms. So as I go now towards the mountain, I gotta discuss the DRT. The debt refusion theory is the solution, with at least something that resembles my DRT theory. My DRT theory, debt refusion theory. My debt refusion theory. The DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. And of course, it is what it is, and we're gonna need to explain it with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the drill side of things, and we're gonna get doing on that go, man, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses and the doctors, and the firefighters and the electricians, the plumbers, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food, That's what it is, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that beautiful art here, something which we have to be mindful about, is beautiful cities and how we explore. I like how it's, my pyramid, the pyramid is my favorite down there, but then you got a lot of bit of that other side, and you gotta get a little bit of that other loving side of things, and that's all we got, so something which we gotta be loving about, and we gotta be loving the gymnasium here. You see, you can play ping pong if you want. I'm not big on ping pong, but that's something which we gotta be doing, and something which we gotta be translucent about, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the drills, man, for the love, for the sight, and for the left, for the butchers, and my sisters and brothers there, and sisters doing a little bit on XYZ, and that's what I need. I need a little bit of this one. I'm gonna wait a little bit, and usually I wait 10 seconds. Usually I wait 10 seconds to hydrate. Oh yeah, man. Watch it. Look at these yellow flowers, how they are. That's what we got. That's what we gotta get doing with that, man. We gotta get on that exercise. That's what we gotta get on that love, man, you know. So we gotta get doing for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, the firefighters, and that's how we gotta get drilling, man, you know. That's what I gotta get doing on that. See, this is an ASPE thing right here. So I'm gonna focus on the details of this. Bravo, bravo. I need engineers to build a fort, Forgotten Goddess temple also with kisses, 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 and of course the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be, oh man, in fact 2017 when I got out of the depression. So I guess I'm being remanufactured myself. Remanufacture, rebuild. When I died of COVID, COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease. When I died of COVID in 2020, February, March, you know. Ever since then, I take it every day, carpe diem it. Every day, carpe diem it. Every day, carpe diem it. You know, that's how I live every day. On that carpe diem, and that's all we got, man. Every day on that carpe diem, man, you know. And we gotta get on that drill side of things, and gotta be grateful. And I cannot tardy more to delay the discussion of the DRT because it's super important, but I showed you a little bit of aspiness there. You know, it's focused on certain details and certain details on that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the left side of things, you know. For the XYZ to live a little bit of that left, and we gotta get it on that drill side of things to get on the left side of things with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. We gotta get doing on that X and on that blue, and for the black, the white, and the rainbow, for the 63 10 provinces, 10 provinces, 3 territories, 50 states, 3 territories, 50 provinces, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. That's 10 provinces plus 50 states plus 3 territories. We gotta make it 63 for the states of the kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. We gotta build on the Canadian-US border to signify the new beginnings. Let's do it when I'm gonna propose again, I guess, in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, and gonna get engaged maybe soon. I hope I get a yes for an engagement, and if I make a million, I'm gonna give 50% to my anonymous friend, and you know that drill. And let's go for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the farmers, and let's go for the firefighters. Let's go for the DRT. The debt refusion theory is my theory, which of course can be the solution, and that's how we gotta get doing with the solution, you know. It's something which we gotta get doing for the solution, because we live in an extremely volatile time. Many people are financially stressed. Many people are financially stressed, you know. Financial stress for myself included $10,000 in debt, but of course my financial stress is mostly because Asperger's, the high unemployment rate is between 11 times bigger, higher unemployment rate than the normal people, which are the 99.56%. So due to this condition. But the paradox is, of course, that I got the solution. And the solution is, of course, the solution is that my theory, of course, we got to get it on that solution thing to that. And that's how we got on the solution thing. And that's how we got to get doing, you know. So the solution is the DRT, the debt refusion theory. So the debt refusion theory, the DRT, stands for debt refusion theory. It also includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory. Hey, excuse-moi, c'est où t'as trouvé ton nordique?
C'est Québec nordique.
Oh, you don't speak French?
No, not
okay.
much.
Okay, no problem. I thought you were a fan from back in the days.
Well, I'm from Toronto, but I remember the Nordique. I love them.
Yeah, Nordiques. Sakukoivu.
Yeah, the Stasny brothers.
That's beyond my days, but I know of them. I know of them. I know of them. They became the Avalanche, eh?
Yeah, they
Colorado.
became, Colorado Avalanche. Too bad. I wish Quebec would get it.
Patrick Raw.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
One day.
I thought
One
maybe
day.
you really got it back in the 90s. So.
No, I bought it in Quebec City actually a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Quebec City.
He's
I
in
love
trouble,
it.
eh? In Quebec, he's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna get stopped a lot. Bye, guys. Bye. Nordiques. That was a Nordiques here in Quebec. We were very old, you know. It's the Nordiques of Quebec was the NHL team in the 90s, you know. 80s and 90s became moved to Colorado. Nordiques. The Nordiques. The Nordiques. Anyways, I don't remember that far, but I know because I studied who I am in the past 11 years, and my memory kind of blacks out with that, and that's how we gotta get drilling on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on that XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing with the love, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and gotta get it on the drill side. We're gonna get on that. You get your. That's how we gonna get drill, man, and that's how we are here, man. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, you know. Here I gotta move a little bit my shoulders, left or right. And now we're gonna cross. So the DRT, just focus on the DRT. DRT, debt refusion theory. The DRT. Because now we're passing by the bank, and in a past life several times I was a banker. I was a banker in a past life several times, and now that we pass by the bank, you know, it's something which we gotta do, you know, and by the bank, and that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go, you know. And of course the DRT theory stands for debt refusion theory. It also integrates monetary integration theory, and monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union back in the days. You know, the monetary integration theory, it was implemented in the European Union, and of course they created the common central bank known as the European Central Bank. That's all we got, man. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So because we have received so much interest payments which we got, so much interest payments which have to be paid on the public debt. Really the interest rates which we had on the public debt have increased due to the coronavirus, especially in the past 5 years. So it's not sustainable. You can check the numbers for yourself. But of course the numbers show, because parallel to our GDP increase, we had no major FDI, foreign direct investment. We had no major FDI, foreign direct investment, but our economy mostly stagnated. So due to the stagnation of the economy, we have to implement the DRT, and due to the fact that many programs are going to have to be cut and reduced, I'm asking Uncle Connie, what are we going to cut, what are we going to reduce in the budget? Because we have to cut. The principle applies the same for the public and the private financial matters. Just as an individual whose income stagnates, if the income stagnates, the income of course stagnates due to the fact that the stagnation of the income parallel to the interest paid and more credit card debt, and both for Canada and the United States. We had record-breaking Canadian public-private debt. So there's a record debt in both the public and the private. In both the public and the private, in both the public and the private, and that's what we're gonna do. In both the public and the private, we have now a record-breaking debt levels. Both the public and the private. So due to these public-private partnerships that we're gonna need to do to establish in order to create the new currency called the UA, so we're gonna have to implement the DRT or something similar, because we're on the verge of a financial public collapse, which could have started today when I left after 3 p.m. and of course could start tomorrow as a thunderstorm is announced, of course, for Montreal. So basically you're gonna have to be extra prudent. Asperger's, we have our disabilities, yeah. There are certain things we're not that able. This Asperger's, certain things we are, especially when it comes to certain social norms and characteristics, which can make us, I would say, less able in certain things. But now when it comes to certain, our special interest, which is geopolitics, and that's why paradoxically, because it is geopolitics, sports and fitness, dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity is dancing, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing with XYZ, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing on that love side of things, and that's why they gotta get it on that go. That's what it is, and that's how we gotta get drilled, man. You know, we gotta get that drill, and I just learned a lot from several books, three books from my 156, which my anonymous friend gifted yours truly, and once was returned because it was library loans. But I learned a lot, and I learned my vulnerabilities, and we are less able, less capable in certain things, and now that brings me a little bit of double joy. That gives me hope. Those fellow citizens holding some hands there. That's some loving, that's some hope. And I like to matchmake, you know. I love to matchmake. And some Aspie would know everything there is to know about the cars. If that's the special interest of an Aspie would know everything there is about the car here. The year of manufacture, how much consumption per gallon, and to get 100 kilometers or 100 miles, you will be able to do that calculation probably. And of course, you know, it's nice green. About cars, you know a lot of things about cars, which of course they're not that known on the cars things, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So something which we have to be doing, you know. That's what it is, man. I'm happy to see couples, and that's what it is, and that's what kind of gives me some joy with that. Gotta get on that, man. So the DRT, debt refusion tree, integrates monetary integration tree, and it comes out of this paradox and all the struggles, the closed doors, the suffering, rejections, and misunderstanding and job losses due to this being different, neurologically diverse, you know. But the DRT is the solution. Isn't it a paradox, eh? The DRT is the solution, and you cannot argue, because I'm asking Mark Carney, what are we going to cut, what are we going to reduce in the budget? We're going to have to reduce certain things. Certain things are going to have to be reduced. So either we reduce the military budget, the sanitation budget, those who pick up the garbage, the compost, those, of course, not just that, but of course we're going to rebuild other things, and we're going to build other things, and together we're going to have to cut, you know, a lot of things, and that's what we got to get doing on the left side, and we got to get doing on the, see, architectural, how it's built, a little bit of flowers up there, but you got to look at the details. I don't see that well up there, because it's kind of blurred, but you can see a little bit of details of the flowers on the architecture. Kind of looks like a banking financial institution, origins of the banking financial institutions, but of course I'm not sure what it is. You know. Well, I meant originally. Could have been a bank or a financial institution. Could have been a bank or a financial institution, but I'm not sure. See how it is, goes up like that. See how it is? That's what it is, man. Yeah. Upside. So you can see a lot of different buildings here in downtown. Some are more new, these are 20th century, but some of course date from the 19th century. I think this one is predating the 20th century. 20th century, 20th century. That's what it is with that, and that's what you gotta get doing with that, you know. That's what we gotta get doing on the left YZ, and that's what we're gonna get drilling with that. And here you got a majority of all the things which we got, and we gotta get doing on the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food, and the truckers, the plumbers, electricians, you know. So the DRT, debt refusion theory. The DRT, it's the DRT, debt refusion theory. It incorporates monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory. So the monetary integration theory is, of course, the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. Of course, in the European Union. In the European Union. So they implemented the monetary integration theory. The monetary integration theory, they implemented it back in 2000, 1999 and 2000. So at the end of the 20th century, basically, they destroyed the national central banks, the Germans, the Italians, the French, and they created the ECB, the European Central Bank, which of course includes the other banks. So they destroyed the national central bank, and they created a multinational central banks for several nation states. Germany, Italians, French got together and they created the ECB in the 90s, and that's the Hydro-Quebec headquarters. Go Hydro-Quebec, go, go Hydro-Quebec, go. And thank you to the workers between 1947 and 1991 who built so many dams which are still in use, eh? After so many decades are still in use. And here we're passing through downtown to go to the mountain, and it's a great place for me to discuss the DRT because now we got record-breaking credit cards. Record-breaking credit cards. Record-breaking credit cards, you know? Record-breaking credit cards. Record-breaking credit cards, you know? Record-breaking credit cards and record-breaking credit card debt. Canadians in the United States were in a similar precarious financial situation. In a pretty precarious financial situation. That's my bank, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. That's where I am $10,000 in debt. That's where I am $10,000 in debt. That's where I am $10,000 in debt. That's where I am $10,000 in debt, you know. That's where I am $10,000 in debt to the Royal Bank of Canada. Royal Bank of Canada to the Royal Bank of Canada. That's my favorite skyscraper, the pyramids. And I don't know if she knows, but my anonymous friend and I helped build the pyramids in a past life. I don't know if she knows, but me and my anonymous friend, of course, helped build the pyramids in a past life. Helped build the pyramids in a past life, and that's all we got. And yeah, that's all we gotta get doing on that, and gotta get that DRT. So the debt refusion theory now, fully explained as simple as I can, because due to Asperger's there's a tendency to utilize too much sophisticated verbose intellectual and academic language and linguistic, which is not of course conducive to any proper fully understand the subject at hand, or certain explanation is better explained more simply. Again, the DRT theory, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union by the establishment of the ECB and the creation of the common currency known as the euro. Common currency known as the euro. So we're gonna take all the debts, all the public and the private debt, you know. That's what it is, and That's what it is, man, with that, yeah. So we gotta get doing with that, you know. That's how we gotta get doing. So the DRT, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that, you know. And you're welcome. Oh, you got a. It's not a Chihuahua. Chihuahua? No.
Oh no, Margie.
Oh yeah.
Margie, yeah.
Bye. Have a nice day. They're nice. I like poodles. I can pet, but them I can't pet because I sneeze a lot. Except for poodles. Otherwise, I'm hypoallergenic. Love you later. Bye. 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 A little dog there, and that's where we gotta get a little doggies, and we gotta get it on the go. And see, here's the number 44 again, and we gotta get it on the love, man. 44 and 25. See, 44, 25, or 025 and 44. Vice versa, repeat, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing on the drill to go, and we gotta get doing on that left and right, and we gotta get it on that DRT, you know, DRT on the go, man. You know, we gotta get it for FYZ, and we gotta get it on the love, man. To go for those butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, man, you know. That's how we gotta get doing, man. It's something which we gotta get doing, you know. It's that's what it is, man, and that's what it is with that, man, you know. So the DRT, that refusion theory for the creation of the U, man. That's what we're gonna get doing here. And the DRT, that refusion theory for the creation of the U is something which we gotta get doing like that. And so we gotta get drilling on that things now, and so we gotta get doing on that, you know. We gotta get all the debt, public and private debt, Canadian public private debt, and we're gonna convert it coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna take all the public debt, private and public debt, and that's what we're gonna get doing, man. We're gonna take all the public and private debt and take it all together, convert it into US dollars. Yeah, all the public private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. This is the DRT explained, and keep in mind that in Integree it includes the monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that. So we're gonna take all the public and private debt, and so we're gonna get doing with that, man. So all the public private debt, we're gonna take it all We're gonna convert it into US dollars, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. So we're gonna convert all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it, and since 1988, and I can barely remember past 2015, 2014 max, but who knows where I was, 1988, maybe one of my spirits, archangels, created a security company designed for total security, total service, total defense, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that rock and roll, man. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that, and so we're gonna get doing on that, and we're gonna get doing for the love bird of things, and we're gonna get doing on that, and so we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna get it on the go, and gonna get doing on that, and gonna get doing on the go, you know, to get it on the go, man, and so we're gonna get loving, man, you know. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna get it on the love side of things, and we gotta get it on the doing it, you know, to get it on the love side of things, and we gotta get on that love side of things with that, and so we gotta get doing, man. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna, of course, take it in, and that's how we're gonna get converted into US dollars. All the public private debt of Canada together, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, or we're gonna add it with the US dollars. We're gonna add it with the US dollars. All that public private debt, we're gonna add it with the US dollars, and we're gonna add it with the United States debt, because it has to be implemented by national. So all the public private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, public and private debt, converted to US dollars, is gonna create a new currency with a new central bank called the UE. So it's gonna be the U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The universal exchange unit is gonna have the value of the US dollars, of the US dollars, of the US dollar. So that's just gonna have the same value, and those the US dollars. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're going to create this new currency. We're going to convert all the public private debt of Canada, including my $10,000. We're going to add it all up, convert it into US dollars. All that money is going to be added together with the debt of the United States, with the United States debt, and that's how we're going to get doing on that, with the debt of the United States, and that's how we're gonna get doing, man. So all of it together, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna get on that drill with that, and we're gonna put it all together. We're gonna add it all together. That's what we're gonna be doing. And all of it, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, we're gonna convert all of it together, all of it together. And that's how we're gonna convert it to US dollars. We're gonna add it all together. And all that debt is gonna formulate a new currency. A new currency, of course, which we're gonna call the UE, U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit, U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit, the UE, universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The universal exchange unit is we're gonna put a 10% level of interest after that. It's not gonna be able to be more than 10%. The 10% is gonna be the maximum rate. It can be below that. With that money, we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective of the 63 for the binational, of course, the binational National Salvation Front, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing XYZ, you know, to get it on the love. So all that money we're gonna do mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance citizens to train, mass finance citizens to train to exercise, mass finance citizens for fitness and tourism also. We're gonna mass finance tourism. We're gonna rebuild more dams, more infrastructure. We're gonna build those 44 tunnels. Inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Montreal Underground Village, a big engineering feature and quite something which I admire for an engineering and construction perspective, the Montreal Underground Village, and of course, paradoxically, the tunnels in that Hamas built between 2007 and I guess recently, between 2007 and recently, the tunnels Hamas built between 2007 and recently, which of course are extensive and of course are between 350 and 600, 500 kilometers, 350 or 500 kilometers. About, right? About. Well, this looks not bad. Although I'm in a budget now, I gotta get it on the go, and maybe next time, I guess. And that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And so I love to see people holding hands and kissing a little bit, and gives me some hope, you know. Hope for the free world, man. Give me some hope. Give me some hope for the free world, man. Some hope for the free world, you know. Give me some hope. Oh, fucking hope. HOP, man. It's not all about the money, you know. Not all about the money. Hope for the free world, that's what that gives me. Hope for the free world. Seeing people hold hands and yeah, man. That's what I like to see, people holding hands, hugging, working out, training, exercising. And I love to matchmake, but those are already in that matchmaking season. And we got to get doing on that left, right, Z. And that's how we got to get doing with that, you know. So we're going to get doing on that left side of things. And I got to check a little bit of that project. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all of it. We're going to convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt. The king is absent, but yes, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, in Latin. Admire, mask, admire, mask, admire, admire, mask, admire. That's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing like that, and gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get loving, man. Gotta matchmake a little bit, and here got some nice colors there. Nice colors, man. Nice colors with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, man, you know. So nice colors, gotta admire, you know, gotta admire a little bit of that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing on the go side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So something which we got, man. Here are beautiful flowers, and the beautiful flowers, and that's what it is with that, eh? That's beautiful flowers with that, and get the DRT again, and the debt refusion theory, you know, for the creation of the North American Collective, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing with the love, and man, the DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, is something which we have to implement and we have to do as soon as possible. As soon as possible. As soon as possible. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. Where is it? Oh, see those 3Gs, 4G, 5Gs. Is that? I think the small ones are 4G, 5G, and the big ones are 3G and 2G. 2G, 3G, 4G, but 4G, 5G, and 4G, 5G. I think that's what it is, that. I'm not sure with that, but that's how we're gonna get drilling with that, and they're gonna get some loving, and that's what they're gonna get doing here, man. And we're gonna get it on the love side of things, and sometimes which we gotta get, you know. Sometimes which we gotta get on that love side of things, and we gotta get for those who do the plumbing, the butchers, and the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, you know. Anyways, so back to the DRT, back to the debt refusion theory, back to the DRT, the debt refusion theory. Oh, this one looks good. See, 499.99. Gotta be on the budget, man. Next time, gonna do something good to eat, and that's all we got. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, man. That's something which we got, you know, to be thrilled about. That we got sometimes we still got some affordable things out there. Sometimes they're not that affordable, you know, but back to the DRT. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and that's what we're gonna get doing. All the public and the private debt, convert it into US dollars. US dollars into US dollars, all that public private debt. Convert it into US dollars, we're gonna add it up. add all the public and the private debt into US dollars, add it with the US public private debt, because we're on the verge of a public private partnership. Just now I did some meditation across the 63, this big city, Montreal, Hawk Island. How many people swiped their card when it connected with the other, or did some PayPal, and did some of that swiping with those card numbers. I guess they're 12 or whatever case may be, and they swiped and they spent, and people are maxed out. Most people, some people are millionaires, billionaires. That's why it takes a public-private partnership. BlackRock, Blackstone are two different financial institutions. So we're gonna need to put them into perspective. And look at that, so pink, beautiful pink flowers. Isn't it just gorgeous here? How they're kind of lined up like that, super lined up. There's other flowers on the other side, but I just find it a little bit of that good love, and I don't know, it's just nice how it's set up for my taste. Kind of out of nowhere almost in the flowers. Love some flowers. The DRT, debt refusion tea. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and gonna get drilling with that, and that's how we're gonna get on that go. The public and the private debt. 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 We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. The public and the private debt. And we're gonna take all of it together, and we're gonna convert it into US dollars. US dollars. US dollars, US dollars, US dollars. And all that debt is gonna be put to some good use, because we're gonna create the UE. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit. The UE. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the universal exchange unit. So that's what we're gonna do, you know. Oh, this goes a bit high. I'm gonna go get hydration. Just wait a few seconds before I hydrate. HYDRATE, wait a few seconds. Usually I do some counting here, so before I get some of that hydrate, let's get it in. Oh yeah, now we go towards the mountain. Taking home, Mountain Mount Royal, and gonna finish up. The DRT has to be implemented. There's just no way out of the current financial situation where we find ourselves in, you know. It's Tuesday, June 7th, 5th day, going on the 5th day of maybe the World War III began, when Israel decided to attack Iran, you know. And that's something we're gonna have to work as we go to the mountain, and we're gonna have to find some solutions and see where we can agree to disagree. And you know, violence and aggression, we gotta get it for the 63, you know, to channel it here, and that's how we gotta get doing on that left and on the right, and sometimes in between, you know. That's how we gotta get doing on the love, and sometimes what you do, you know, to get it on the love side of things, and gotta get doing on that drill for the butchers and the bakers, the nurses and the firefighters and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's how we gotta get seeing on that, man. So now we're gonna switch to that French, you know, because we liable Provence with that, and then waste a little bit of that loving all the way to the sun. That's the sun, man, the King, the Pope, and that's what I gotta get doing, man. French, because we're gonna build Provence, man. See, there's on top, I can kind of see it looks blurred, but if you look, you can see the architecture above. There's engravings, engravings, you know, to get doing on that, you know. That's how we gotta get doing, you know, for the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, man, to get doing on this. So I gotta get doing on the love part. See, there's no engravings here, but on the other one there's no engravings, you know. It's something which we gotta get doing, something which we got, you know, on the love side. So I got it. Yeah. French, because we're in la belle province. Et bienvenue, on s'en va vers la montagne. Québécois et Québécoises. en vous encourageant à faire de l'entraînement physique. On va aller en français un petit vite, 11 minutes, parce que je me suis perdu dans l'anglais, puis bien sûr, je me suis perdu dans l'anglais, puis bien sûr, c'est... So we gotta get doing with that. Fait que pour le français, aujourd'hui, je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique. Comme tantôt, j'avais parlé avec quelqu'un qui me considère comme mon cousin, cousine, québécois, québécoise, puis de côte à côte, puis c'est en l'armée aussi, tu sais, des fois, mais c'est bon de laisser un peu de larmes parce que, tu sais, la souffrance et tout ça, mais on souffre, tu sais, me parler de quelqu'un qui est suicidé, c'est... j'ai vécu le suicide, hein. J'ai vécu le suicidaire, puis supposément, d'après ce que j'ai compris, c'était relié parce que c'était un homosexuel, puis je fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ, hein, puis je sais que c'est dur, hein, des fois, inquiétez-vous pas, hein, il y en a bien qui sont, comment on dit, mais ils sont pas ouverts à cause de ça, ils le sont, bisexuels ou pansexuels ou gays, mais ils vivent en cachette, tu sais, puis il y en a bien, inquiétez-vous pas, hein, même dans la Ligue nationale de hockey, même dans les Oilers, hein, peut-être ils vont ramener la coupe, là. S'ils gagnent un soir, ils vont s'en vont au 7e match, je l'espère. Puis je l'espère que, tu sais, ceux qui sont dans les sports, les artistes, ben, si vous faites partie de la communauté LGBTQ, ben, je pense que c'est le temps, là, de 2025 de dire, ben, moi aussi, tu sais, je suis aux hommes ou femmes, puis je suis bisexuel, puis homosexuel ou lesbienne, quoi que ce soit, là, tu sais. Fait que, on a échangé un couple de mots, puis... je vous défendrai, vous, de côte à côte, là, mais moi, je n'aime pas la violence. Je suis quelqu'un qui déteste la violence. Pas parce que je déteste la violence, parce que je comprends la violence. Puis je l'ai vécu, la violence. Je me suis fait attaquer par surprise, il y a une couple d'années, puis je suis tombé, je connais ma tête à terre, j'étais tout ensanglé, puis j'avais le bras droit disloqué, là. Puis j'avais le bras droit disloqué, puis j'allais à l'hôpital, ils m'ont placé sur des médicaments, j'étais comme dans un coma, là. J'étais dans un coma pendant un couple de jours. Je dois aller vérifier la vérification pour l'hôpital général juif. Et bien sûr, ici, sur mon temps, c'est quelque chose que je fasse. Bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je dois faire, mais dans le consensus aujourd'hui, que tiens, je vis fièrement, mais avec ma fierté de pansexuel entre gens, monsieur, madame, puis faisant partie de la communauté LGBTQ, tu sais, c'est pas quelque chose que je me cache, c'est pas quelque chose que je vis avec qui je suis, puis c'est des choses que je vis, puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, avec lesquelles que je dois vivre, comme je vis avec ma cicatrice, puis ma perte de mémoire, j'ai la misère à me souvenir, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé dans ma vie avant 2015-2014, puis je vis comme un trompe, puis c'est quelque chose que je vis dans le trompe, bien sûr. Perpétuel peut-être, mais subconscient, mais sans me souvenir vraiment, juste avoir des petits flashs, puis ayant survécu la COVID, c'est quelque chose que je dois vous faire dans le consensus, que je dois dire, bien sûr, aujourd'hui, mais c'est quelque chose que je dois le dire moi-même, la gratitude. La gratitude, super important, tu sais. La gratitude, c'est quelque chose que je dois vivre avec, tu sais, parce que c'est super important, mais de vivre de la gratitude. Et la gratitude, c'est quelque chose que je dois vivre parce que c'est tout un privilège, tu sais. C'est tout un privilège, bien sûr, pour avoir vivre dans ce contexte de la compréhension, bien sûr, qui sont vivants aujourd'hui, qu'on est vivant, tu sais, le 17 juin, tu sais, c'est des choses, bien sûr, c'est des choses qui peuvent nous toucher, bien sûr, ça peut éclater, là, c'est le 5e jour d'Israël qui vient de frapper l'Iran, et bien sûr, leur conflit date, bien sûr, du 20e siècle, tu sais, du 20e siècle, qui a acheté, bien sûr, c'est une chose, bien sûr, que vous avez, bien sûr, dans le compromis de la situation, bien sûr, c'est des choses qui sont, bien sûr, pour le faire, bien sûr, dans ce domaine, d'avoir de la compréhension, puis d'avoir, bien sûr, une idée d'où qu'on vit, tu sais, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qui... on mérite une deuxième chance, puis les larmes qu'il a données, j'ai vu qu'il y avait beaucoup de souffrance aussi, là. Il est en train de boire l'après-midi, ben, il est libre de boire, mais je lui ai dit, mais en place, c'est que tu perds ta liberté de t'aller en prison, mais c'est mieux que peut-être tu vois un peu le Québec, hein. Tu visites un peu les centrales, là, à Bay James. T'as-tu déjà allé? J'ai demandé à Bay James. Jamais. C'est quelque chose qu'il faudrait voir, là. Toute cette civilisation, c'était un privilège, tout ça, là. De 7 ans, là, il faut se fusionner avec les États-Unis. J'ai parlé, puis il dit qu'il soutient un peu Trump. Je dis non, je suis pas partisan de Trump, pas en tout. J'ai voté Biden Kamala, mais je suis pour fusionner. Mais je n'ai pas expliqué ma vision. Mon rêve est fondamentalement un partenariat public-privé pour la sécurité, service total et défense du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Parce qu'on se constitue un collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Un collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc, c'est la civilisation qu'il faut qu'on soit dans l'environnement, d'avoir un peu de contexte aujourd'hui. Il faut le faire comme ça, d'avoir un peu de bonheur, tu sais. Et mon frère qui porte le rouge, puis c'est justement comme ça qu'il m'avait approché à cause du rouge. À cause du rouge. Ouais, faut faire attention ici parce que des fois ils viennent les automobiles, là, puis je connais le coin, là, puis personne se fait frapper sur l'automobile, là, dans le coin pendant que je suis. On conduit en anglais, not on my watch, you know. Ain't nobody getting hit by a car on my watch, man. I see them making love, then getting a little bit of that car getting, you know. Fait que c'est ça, tu sais. C'est des choses qu'il faut que je le dise, you know. Ouais, c'est ça, il faut faire attention parce qu'il y a ça en est traversé, comme ma citoyen. Regardez, c'est un coin que je connais, là. Ben, même si je vois pas bien, je regarde pour vous passer. Bien sûr, faites attention quand vous traversez la rue. Watch, parce que vous traversez bien correctement. Je préfère les gens, aller voir les gens danser, s'aimer, puis se donner des câlins, puis des bisous. Puis qu'en place de se faire frapper par un automobile, puis c'est un coin que ça risque souvent ici. C'est un gros risque ce coin-là, les automobiles. Puis il était pas patient, il a pris un pas, fait que j'ai commencé à checker, puis à cause de l'Asperger's, je suis capable de quand même dire une distance de... Parce que quand je suis sur la route, je suis hyper vigilant, puis je vois les automobiles, puis je fais un calcul mental, la distance, la vélocité du véhicule, puis la distance, puis la vitesse, puis je suis capable de faire des calculs de distance un peu, parce que j'aime ça les mathématiques, puis les pourcentages, les distances, un peu de la géométrie, puis j'étais capable de faire un petit calcul mental, puis dire que l'automobile s'en vient, c'est pas encore le piéton pour passer le petit bonhomme, madame, comme moi je suis 50-50 androgyne pansexuel, puis je vais avec la perte de mémoire, je vais avec ma crise financière en ce moment, mais je veux que personne se fasse... je dois essayer d'être un bon samaritaine, un bon samaritaine, un bon samaritain sur la route, bon samaritaine, c'est des choses bien sûr qu'il faut que je le fasse dans l'environnement, tu sais, pour le faire bien sûr, pour le faire, tu sais. Et c'est des choses bien sûr que je dois le faire dans cette circonférence où que je suis rendu ici pour voir les gens. Je préfère les gens, c'est faire l'amour, bien sûr, puis s'amuser, puis si vous êtes millionnaire, donnez à la charité un peu, s'il vous plaît. Donnez un peu à la charité. C'est tout que je demande. Puis on va aller par les maisons. Je voulais faire un petit détour. Faire un petit détour pour le montrer en haut. Faire un petit détour, bien sûr, dans le XYZ. C'est quoi? Et bien sûr, dans la condition, bien sûr, que je vais rentrer par Red Path. Et voilà, on va rentrer par là. Et c'est des choses, bien sûr, que il faut que j'admire quand même ces belles places-là, tu sais. J'aimerais ça lui donner à mon ami anonyme une petite place de même, mais là, je vais pas tarder. Vous savez que j'ai l'Asperger, c'est pas une condition de maladie mentale, c'est une condition de neurodivergence, puis je dois faire le travail pour bâtir des ponts avec vous, les 99,56%, parce que vous êtes la majorité de citoyens et citoyennes, hein? Fait que la majorité des citoyens, vous êtes neurotypiques, puis moi, je suis neurodivergent, moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, hein? C'est 0,44%, là, de la population. Il n'y en a pas bien des Asperger. L'Asperger, c'est une condition de neurodivergence, et nous, on voit le monde différemment, et cette différence, ça fait bien sûr qu'on est différent, et dans cette différence, on peut avoir de la difficulté un peu, on est moins habile, puis on a des vulnérabilités. Puis je dois dire les salutations puis gratitude à mon ami anonyme qui m'avait donné un livre pour savoir plus de ma conscience. Ce livre-là, c'est Apprécier l'Asperger. Apprécier et comprendre l'Asperger. Tu sais, des fois, dans certaines choses, je peux être direct, mais j'ai ces vulnérabilités que j'ai dû apprendre moi-même dans ces livres-là, puis dans ces livres-là de cette compréhension, de vivre avec cette condition de neurodivergence. Et moi, quand ça vient à mes intérêts spéciaux, c'est là qu'on se dédie tout notre temps. Quasiment la majorité de notre temps se trouve et se passe en faisant les intérêts spéciaux. Qu'est-ce qu'on appelle les intérêts spéciaux, ou aussi connus comme intérêts obsessifs chez les aspis. Et bien sûr, là que je suis rendu à la montagne, je vais laisser les cheveux longs. On va laisser les cheveux longs. On est dans la forêt. On va les laisser comme ça. Là, on est rendu. Mon docteur, ma maîtresse, la docteur, ma maîtresse, le docteur, la maîtresse. Et voilà. Et bien sûr, le docteur, la maîtresse, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'on fait dans cet environnement qu'on est rendu ici. C'est des choses moi-même que je dois vivre. C'est des choses que je dois faire dans cette constitution qu'on vit pour avoir aussi la gratitude, hein? Si quelqu'un veut me financer, que j'aille descendre 300 fois ici pour 300 $, ça va faire un bon deal pour moi parce que j'ai besoin de l'argent. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses que je dois quand même apprécier, là, si vous êtes si incliné et avoir l'inclinaison de m'offrir cette petite commission en tant qu'artiste, athlète et philosophe et analyste théoricien en géopolitique, mais je dois toujours là, être ouvert pour le travail. Mais malheureusement, chez ma communauté, le taux de chômage, c'est 11 fois plus que les neurotypiques. Pour nous, les Asperger, ce qu'on a dit neurodivergents, 11 fois. Tel le taux de suicide aussi, c'est 9 fois. Puis justement avec mon cousin, puis tantôt on parlait du suicide, puis je sais que c'est dur, puis je l'ai vécu, être suicidaire, là, c'est pas... Puis non, moi, je voulais me faire de l'amour homme-femme, ben, vous avez 18 ans et plus, noir et blanc, 18 ans et plus, noir et blanc, c'est quelque chose que je dois vivre avec ça, mais comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, puis la perte de mémoire, mais des fois ça revient, ça se perd à cause d'un trompe où j'habitais avant, ben, je pense que j'ai déménagé, soit le 1er juillet, ça va faire 9 ans, ou peut-être 10, soit en 2016-2015 que j'ai déménagé, fait que peut-être c'est 10 ans. Bon, c'est sûr que j'ai eu bien de l'emploi que j'ai aimé, mais malheureusement, chez nous, les Asperger, ben, il y a encore du travail à faire chez les Asperger. Fait que c'est quand même un point de départ, c'est quand même un point de neurodivergence, que on a quand même des obstacles. Surtout dans les relations sociales, des fois, c'est bizarre, c'est difficile pour nous, tu sais, la compréhension. Il faut nous le dire. Il faut nous le dire verbalement si vous ressentez quelque chose, l'angoisse. Des fois, on s'approche trop proche, juste me le dire, puis je vais prendre distance un mètre, un pied, puis moi, j'aime pas la violence, je l'ai vécu, puis j'ai des cicatrices, je déteste. Pas parce que je déteste, mais je comprends la violence, mais l'agression, il faut toujours maîtriser, tu sais, puis faites de l'exercice. C'est pour ça qu'il faut bâtir les 4. Parler du peuple impérial. Fait que là, je vais pas tarder. Je vais discuter de la TRD. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose que je dois faire. Là. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Parce qu'on est dans un point de crise. Fait qu'on va devoir implémenter paradoxalement le TRD, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD. Parce qu'un point de crise, fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette. La TRD, ça contient dedans ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire qui est les Européens, en fait. On va devoir prendre toute la dette publique-privée parce qu'on est à veille d'avoir un effondrement financier, puis c'est sur l'horizon, peut-être demain, la tempête. On est en crise financièrement. Fait. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse, de la faire dans la convergence, d'avoir à faire de la solution, tu sais. C'est quelque chose que je dois faire ici la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, fait qu'on va devoir le faire pour la conclusion d'où qu'on est rendu à cet espoir d'avoir de cette finalité, d'avoir de la compréhension d'où qu'on est rendu au point de vue d'établir un concordat pour la réhabilitation financière du collectif de Civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, du collectif de Civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc nous, Québécois et Québécoises, on fait appel, puis bien sûr qu'on fasse dans le point de convergence, ok, on est rendu à tellement un point d'avoir de difficultés financièrement, c'est quand même une grosse crise qu'il faut prendre en considération, puis c'est quand même une grosse crise d'avoir faire du sport. Vous voyez ici, c'est ça qui est beau ici à venir, bien sûr, pour le faire dans cette situation, d'avoir un point de convergence dans le pressentiment, d'avoir une théorie, bien sûr, de l'approche non perm. No, Captain. No, Captain. Battle formations. No, Captain. Awesome bataille. And that's all we got. That's all we gotta get drilling, you know? To get it on the go and to get it on the love.
Exactement, ouais.
La guerre avec nous. Est-ce que 500 pièces, hein? Un bon jeu.
Grand, financier.
Hey, there we go. We're gonna go out here. Now we're gonna start a little bit of that cadence. Start a little bit of that cadence and get it on the go. And oh, we're on that French. DRT, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. On va devoir prendre toute la dette publique, privée, tu sais. Faire une refusion, convertir toute la dette publique privée des États-Unis avec la dette canadienne. On va faire la création, on va mettre ça ensemble. Ça va fonder une nouvelle banque centrale, binationale, en lançant aujourd'hui le nouveau rythme de 40 jours. 40 jours, la Troisième Guerre mondiale, de 40 jours, et bien sûr, de 40 jours, on va faire bien sûr les 40 jours, et bien sûr, dans les 40 jours de rite, on va faire bien sûr, dans ce 40 jours de rite, bien sûr, nouveau pour la montagne, pour le royaume de la déesse et du dragon, pour le collectif de Civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. On va voir qu'on va devoir se hydrater, l'hydratation, super important. Fait qu'on va le faire aussitôt qu'on finit avec la vidéo et on va faire les cadences ici. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la refusion, toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr. Fait toute cette dette-là, on va faire la refusion de toute la dette. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle banque pour faire la création de UE, l'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. On va faire bâtir les 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Faire bien du bien pour le commun avec ça, pour le grand commun. Hey, ben du bien. Rebâtir d'autres centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens d'entraînement physique au tourisme, puis blablabla, prêter allégeance des gens, soyez amis avec bénéfice. Cadence, Dragonomy cadence is the sentence. Let's go, 4 minutes, intense. Cadence, property of the Dragonomy, don't use it unless you're an ally. You know I gotta go by the cities of the collective. Dragon Kingdom, that's the empire of the 63. Of the 63 we gotta be. That's the Dragon Army for the hectic. That's the rock and roll for the butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the truckers. Gotta get some firefighters. Gotta get it so you see. That's the Dragon Army cadence. Rock and roll, you say the cadence. For the butchers, firefighters, for the bakers and the nurses. Gotta give another sentence. That's the Dragon Army sentence. That's our cadence. You gotta see ready to be. Gotta see ready to see. Gotta left and right and sight. Gotta give it for the bakers, for the butchers, for the truckers. Electricians and the plumbers. Marching steps, you know we with it. Hey, you know that we gotta sing it. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. We got some. Hey, got some squirrels, got a burlesque. Hey, we the Dragon Army, we the best. Marching for the 63, for the Salvation Front. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Spell it with that double S's. Some of my dragons are homos. Ain't no shame when freedom goes. With some justice and consent. Just ask, you know I'm a cuckold, that's a bend. And you know we freedom hygiene. Gotta wash with soap and water. Hey, for the firefighters. Gotta wash with soap and water. Hey, for the firefighters. Gotta wash with soap and water. For the firefighters, gotta wash with soap and water. For the firefighters, gotta wash with firefighters. For that soap and with that water, gotta get it for the left. Gotta get that army set. For the left and for the right. Gotta give it for the best. Gotta give it for the left. Gotta give it for the set. Gotta give it for the best. Keep on the right, just like driving. Keep on the right, just like driving. Stay on the right, just like you're driving the car. Gotta be here for the free. Dragon Army sentence B. Firefighters, plumbers, doctors. Thank the farmers for you eat. And the butchers and the nurses. Gotta give some way to see. And the love up in the B. Gotta pee us in the seas. Gotta left up in the seas. So you left her ready to be. And the kiss you know we see. Dragging on me with a bee. On the cadence on the mountain. On the cadence on the mountain. And you see we gotta see. Left and right in harmony. Gotta give it so you be. And the left and right you D. On the mountain on the set. And you know we got a left. Left and right and in the center. You know, dragging on me. Freedom, freedom. Firefighters, butchers. SSD, that's who we be. Dragging on me for the SSD. Got a lions, got some birds. Got some hawks ready to sing. On the mountain that you see. Where I love that harmony. And the bees up in the trees. For the 63, Empire be that SSD. For the 63, Empire be that SSD. For the 63, Empires be that B. Gotta give it for the left, for the right and SSD. And you know we gotta be for the 60 and 3.